Imagine, for just a moment, that you are drifting far away from the noise of daily life. The world beneath you grows quieter, smaller, until the city lights blur into soft sparks, and the earth itself becomes a glowing sphere, suspended in a sea of darkness. Out here, beyond the boundaries of sound and hurry, there is only stillness. A vast silence, broken only by the whisper of your own breath. It is in this silence that the mind opens. It is here, in the quiet cradle of the cosmos, that we allow ourselves to ask questions too large for the daytime world. Questions that slip through the cracks of ordinary thought. Questions that wonder about what hides beyond what we can see. And tonight, as you settle back, allowing your body to soften, your breathing to deepen, we will explore one of those questions together. For centuries, humanity has gazed into the night sky, searching not only for answers but for meaning. We charted the stars, gave them names, told stories about their shapes, and believed that within them lay messages from gods, heroes, and spirits. But in the last 100 years, our telescopes and our science have revealed something even more mysterious: the possibility of unseen worlds. Worlds hidden in the darkness. Worlds that pull at the threads of gravity yet remain invisible to our eyes. Among those possibilities, one name has captured the imagination of scientists and dreamers alike. Planet 9. Tonight, we ask, what secrets does this hidden world hold? Is it a planet like the ones we know, cold, dark, but ordinary? Or is it something stranger, something older? And, most haunting of all, could something there be watching us? Don't worry, you're safe here. This is not a story meant to frighten you, but to guide you gently into wonder. Think of it like a bedtime story, told slowly and softly, with pauses that give your mind room to breathe. You don't need to remember every word. Let the rhythm of the story wash over you, like waves of calm, carrying you deeper into rest. If your thoughts wander, that's perfectly fine. Let them. The story will still be here, weaving its way through the stars. Let's begin by closing the distance between ourselves and the unknown. Picture the solar system as you learned it. The sun, blazing and radiant, at the center. Around it, the familiar planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, all following their invisible paths. This is the version most of us memorized in school, the comforting order of a clockwork universe. But astronomers began to notice something that didn't quite fit this neat picture. Far beyond Neptune, at the icy edges of the solar system, there are objects small, frozen, ancient relics that move in ways that don't entirely make sense. Their orbits bend, cluster, and stretch as if something massive, something unseen, were tugging at them from the shadows. And so, the theory of Planet 9 was born. It wasn't just wild speculation. It came from patterns, numbers, subtle gravitational clues that whispered of a hidden presence. The idea is simple, yet haunting. Somewhere out there, perhaps 20 times farther from the sun than Neptune, there may be a planet as large as Neptune itself or larger lurking in the darkness. We can't see it directly. It emits no light of its own. And yet, the way smaller bodies move suggests that it's there, pulling on them, reshaping their paths. For many, this possibility is thrilling. To think that we might still discover a world within our own solar system is both humbling and exhilarating. But for others, it raises questions that feel heavier. If Planet 9 exists, why has it remained hidden for so long? What secrets lie upon its frozen surface? And why does it feel, in the imagination, less like a planet and more like a shadow, waiting at the edge of the known? As you rest tonight, I invite you to let your mind wander there to that distant place. Imagine yourself floating far beyond Neptune, into the realm of the Kuiper Belt. It is a cold, silent wilderness filled with icy fragments, drifting like forgotten memories. The sun, so bright from Earth, is now just a distant star, casting a pale glow across endless darkness. Here, time feels slower, stretched thin, as if every second takes longer to pass. And somewhere in that emptiness, hidden behind curtains of night, there may be a world Planet 9 waiting to be found. The idea of a hidden planet is not new. Ancient astronomers once believed in invisible worlds that influenced the motions of the stars. Even in modern times, we've discovered planets by their effects on others, long before we could see them. Neptune itself was predicted before it was observed, revealed through the strange movements of Uranus. Planet 9, if it exists, would be discovered in much the same way, not by sight, but by the whispers of gravity. And yet, when we talk about Planet 9, the language changes. People don't just speak of it as a scientific object. They speak of it as if it has personality, as if it holds secrets. Perhaps it's because we, as humans, cannot help but fill the unknown with story. We look at the darkness and imagine eyes looking back. We hear silence and imagine voices hiding within it. Planet 9 becomes not just a hypothetical world, but a mirror for our imagination. And so, as this story unfolds tonight, I invite you not only to consider the science, but to listen for the deeper resonance. Why are we so captivated by the thought of a hidden planet? What does it mean for us, psychologically, spiritually, to believe that something vast and unseen lies at the edge of our home? For now, let your body grow heavier against the bed or chair. Feel the muscles loosen. Let your breathing become slow and natural. Picture yourself drifting outward, far away from the worries of the day, and into the boundless quiet of space. Out there, beyond the last light of Neptune, the darkness deepens, and within that darkness, perhaps, Planet 9 waits, its secrets unspoken, its story just beginning to unfold. As we drift further into the darkness, let us linger on the image of Planet 9, not as a planet neatly drawn in a textbook, but as something more haunting, more alive in your imagination. A giant shadow among shadows. It might be circling the sun on an orbit so wide that one year there lasts tens of thousands of Earth years. Imagine a world where a single winter could outlast the rise and fall of entire civilizations. A place so far away that sunlight arrives as little more than a ghostly whisper, barely enough to touch its surface with the faintest glow. Close your eyes, if you wish, and picture what it would be like to stand there. The ground is frozen, coated with ancient ice methane, ammonia, water locked into crystals harder than rock. The sky above is endless black, pierced only by the faint sparkle of distant stars. The sun, your sun, the star that feeds all life on Earth, looks no brighter than an ordinary dot in the sky. Perhaps Jupiter, Saturn, and the inner worlds are no longer visible at all, hidden by distance. Out here, you feel both profoundly alone and strangely watched, as though the universe itself is aware of your presence. That sense of being watched is more than poetic imagination. It's a question whispered in scientific debates and echoed in myths long before telescopes were built. What if something more than rock and ice drifts in the far reaches of space? What if Planet 9 or whatever inhabits its orbit isn't simply another planet, but something older, stranger, waiting? Scientists, of course, are cautious. They use language grounded in numbers and models, in probabilities and equations. To them, Planet 9 is a hypothesis, an elegant solution to a puzzle of orbits, a missing piece in a cosmic pattern. But for dreamers, for storytellers, for those who look at the night sky and feel more than curiosity, Planet 9 becomes something else. It becomes a symbol of what we do not yet understand, of mysteries still hidden in plain sight. And there's something deeply comforting about that. Think about it. We live in an age where so much is explained, cataloged, mapped. We can see the surface of Mars, count the rings of Saturn, and send spacecraft plunging into the clouds of Jupiter. But even now, in the 21st century, with all our technology, there may still be an entire planet orbiting our own sun that we have never seen. Doesn't that thought stir something inside you? A reminder that the universe is not done surprising us, not done humbling us. As you rest tonight, let that thought settle in your mind. The world feels larger than you imagined. The universe still holds secrets, and in those secrets lies a strange comfort. We do not yet know everything. Now, imagine yourself slowly gliding past the outermost edges of Neptune's realm. You pass through the Kuiper Belt, a vast collection of icy bodies, some tiny, some the size of mountains, all moving in delicate orbits like dancers in a silent ballet. These objects are ancient, remnants from the very birth of the solar system, preserved in the deep freeze of distance. And yet, as astronomers studied their orbits, they saw something unusual. Many of them pointed in the same direction, as though tugged by an invisible hand. That invisible hand is what gave birth to the Planet 9 hypothesis. The idea that something massive, 10 times the mass of Earth, perhaps was shaping the paths of these frozen wanderers. Without it, their orbits should be random, scattered like leaves in the wind. But with it, they fall into patterns, like iron filings lining up around a hidden magnet. It's almost poetic. We cannot see Planet 9, but we can see its influence. Just as you cannot see the wind, but you can watch it bend the branches of trees. Just as you cannot see time itself, but you can watch its effects in the lines on a face or the fall of a leaf. Planet 9, if it exists, is like a cosmic ghost, unseen, yet undeniable in the way it pulls at the edges of reality. And so, people wonder, if such a world exists, could it be more than just a planet? Could it be something that carries with it a hidden history? Something that has circled the sun for billions of years, unnoticed by us until now? And, most haunting of all, could it carry with it a presence on awareness that makes us feel, even from Earth, that we are not alone? Of course, these are questions that science does not answer, at least, not yet. But they are questions that the night invites us to ask. And perhaps it is in asking, not answering, that we find peace. Let your breathing slow again. Inhale gently, exhale softly. Feel the weight of your body pressing down into rest, like a spacecraft finding orbit, perfectly balanced between motion and stillness. Out here, far beyond the last familiar planet, you float in the quiet void. You drift past ice worlds, through fields of silent comets. And in the distance, though you cannot see it, you feel something vast, something patient circling in the shadows. The idea that something hidden watches us from afar is not new. Myths from cultures around the world speak of distant watchers, gods or spirits who observe but do not intervene. Modern science, in its own way, echoes that theme. The unseen forces of gravity, shaping worlds without ever being touched. Whether in legend or in physics, we are reminded of the same truth. The universe is full of presences beyond our sight. So tonight, as you rest, imagine that presence, not as a threat, but as a guardian of mystery, a reminder that the cosmos is bigger, stranger, and more beautiful than our eyes alone can see. And perhaps, just perhaps, in the dark orbit of Planet 9, something waits, not to harm us, not even to reveal itself yet, but simply to remind us, in the quietest of ways, that we are part of a story far larger than we can ever fully understand. Let's drift deeper now, away from the noise of Earth, away from the ordinary rhythm of days and nights, into the true stillness of the outer solar system. Out here, silence reigns. No airplanes, no city lights, no chatter of daily life. Only the soft hum of your own thoughts, carried like echoes across a vast and endless sea. As we glide through this quiet, picture yourself looking back toward the sun. It is no longer the blazing furnace that dominates your skies on Earth. Instead, it has become a pale lantern, glowing weakly in the darkness. Its light takes hours to reach you, filtered and thinned by distance, no longer strong enough to warm your face or stir your skin. The solar wind that once raced past Mercury and Venus like a rushing tide is now a little more than a faint breeze, barely brushing the edges of your presence. In this place, time feels different, slower, as though the tick of a clock has been stretched into an eternity. Days and nights blend into one another until they lose their meaning altogether. Here, you are not bound by the same rules as on Earth. You are adrift in a realm where centuries are as moments, and the lifespans of stars themselves seem within reach. And yet, even in this immense stillness, you feel a strange kind of tension. Not fear, exactly, not danger, but awareness. It is as though the universe itself is breathing, watching, quietly observing. A presence you cannot quite name, but which lingers at the edges of your imagination. Perhaps it is the thought of Planet 9 itself, the idea of something vast and hidden moving slowly in the shadows. A world too distant to see, yet close enough to shape the fates of other objects around it. A silent hand, arranging the orbits of icy fragments as though they were chess pieces on a frozen board. You cannot see the player. You cannot even see the pieces clearly, but you know the game is happening. And that knowledge unsettles you, even as it fascinates. This is the paradox of the unknown. It both soothes and disturbs. It reminds us of how much wonder is left in the universe, but also whispers that we are not in control, that there are forces far older, far stronger, shaping reality around us. Astronomers have tried to capture this paradox in words. They speak of orbital clustering, of gravitational influence, of mathematical probability. They say that Planet 9, if it exists, may be 10 times as massive as Earth, a frozen giant looping the sun on an orbit so wide it may never return within the span of human civilization. But beneath all the equations and careful words lies a truth they cannot escape. We don't know for sure, and in that not knowing lies a kind of poetry. Think about how strange that is. For centuries, we have mapped the heavens with increasing precision. We can track asteroids across millions of miles, predict eclipses down to the second, and even detect ripples in spacetime from black holes billions of light years away. And yet, within our very own solar system, there may be an entire planet still unseen, a world hiding in the darkness, slipping just beyond the grasp of our instruments. Isn't that humbling? Let that humility sink in as you rest. The universe is vast, bigger than your worries, bigger than your fears, bigger than your imagination. Now, imagine for a moment that Planet 9 is real, and you are approaching it. You see a dim curve on the horizon, the outline of a world half buried in shadow. Its atmosphere, if it has one, might be thin, weak, almost gone. Its surface is frozen, cracked like ancient glass, with mountains of ice rising into the black sky. You take a step forward, and the crunch beneath your feet echoes across the silence. There is no wind here, no sound but your own. And yet, you cannot shake the sense that you are not alone. The stars above seem to shimmer differently, as though eyes are glancing down from across light years. The dark stretches of space seem heavier, like a curtain behind which something waits. This feeling of being observed is not unique to you. For thousands of years, humans have felt it. Ancient civilizations looked up at the stars and sensed presences watching. Some called them gods, some called them spirits. Others saw them as ancestors, guardians, or hidden forces. And though our language has changed, the feeling remains. Scientists may speak of unseen gravity, of objects hidden by distance, but the essence is the same. There is something beyond our sight that shapes our lives, and perhaps Planet 9 is a reminder of that, a reminder that we are never as alone as we think, that even in the darkest stretches of space, something is always there, whether as a planet, a force, or simply the echo of the universe itself. So tonight, as you drift closer to sleep, let Planet 9 be not a fear, but a comfort. Let it stand as a symbol of mystery still alive in the cosmos. A quiet presence circling the sun, waiting in the shadows, reminding us that there is more to discover, more to wonder about, more to dream. Breathe deeply, inhale slowly, Exhale softly. Feel your body sink into rest, as if you too are finding your orbit steady, quiet, and infinite. And as you close your eyes, imagine the slow dance of planets and stars continuing above you. A dance you are part of, even now. A dance that stretches across time and space, connecting you to worlds seen and unseen, known and unknown. For in the end, the universe is not a machine of cold mechanics, nor a void of emptiness. It is a story, written across light and darkness, across silence and song. And tonight, you are part of that story. So sleep, knowing that Planet 9 weather, real or imagined, whispers to you from the outer dark. A reminder of mystery. A reminder of wonder. A reminder that the cosmos, in all its shadows, is watching and that you, too, are part of its gaze. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the night sky as a map. A canvas where every star, every glimmer, every faint streak of light is a coordinate on a chart too vast for the human mind to fully grasp. To most of us, the stars seem fixed, eternal, as though they have always been exactly where they are now. But astronomers know a secret. Nothing is fixed, everything moves. Planets orbit, stars drift, galaxies collide, and space itself is expanding. And hidden within that restless movement, there are patterns. Subtle alignments, small groupings, coincidences that don't quite feel like coincidences. These are the whispers of the unknown, the breadcrumbs that scientists follow as they search for Planet 9. The first clues came not from a telescope aimed at some distant target, but from mathematics. Astronomers studying the Kuiper Belt, the icy realm beyond Neptune, noticed something strange. Many of the objects out there, from dwarf planets to small frozen rocks, were not orbiting randomly. Their paths weren't scattered evenly around the sun. Instead, they seemed to cluster, their orbits tilted and aligned in ways that shouldn't happen naturally. It was as though some hidden hand had nudged them into place, pulling them gently but firmly into a quiet formation. At first, some thought it was chance. After all, the Kuiper Belt is still largely unmapped, and randomness can sometimes look like order if you only have part of the picture. But as more and more objects were discovered, the pattern became harder to ignore. Their orbits curved like threads in a web, all pointing in roughly the same direction towards something unseen. This is where Planet 9 stepped onto the stage. Two astronomers, Konstantin Betagen and Mike Brown, looked at the data and proposed a bold idea. What if these objects weren't aligning by accident? What if they were being shepherded by the gravity of a massive, unseen planet lurking far beyond Neptune? A world perhaps 10 times the mass of Earth, orbiting on a path so elongated that a single year there could last 20,000 Earth years. The thought was electrifying. A hidden planet in our own backyard, massive enough to reshape the orbits of everything around it, yet invisible to our telescopes. How could something so large stay unseen? That mystery alone added fuel to the fire. But beyond the science, there's something deeper here. Patterns in the darkness have always fascinated humanity. Ancient skywatchers saw constellations in the stars, gods in the heavens, omens in the comets that blazed briefly across their skies. The modern astronomer sees numbers, data points, orbital mechanics, but the instinct is the same: to look at chaos and find order, to sense that the universe is whispering a secret, if only we can decode it. And so, Planet 9 became not just a hypothesis, but a story. A story about something hidden, powerful, and possibly watching us from the dark. Imagine for a moment, standing on Earth, while these distant Kuiper Belt objects trace their frozen orbits. You cannot see them, not with your eyes. But they are there, looping around the sun on paths longer than human history. Their alignments pointing like silent arrows toward a shadowy giant. You feel almost as though you are standing in the middle of a great cosmic riddle, where the pieces don't quite fit, but you know there must be an answer. Some skeptics argue that the answer might not be a planet at all. Perhaps the clustering is caused by the pull of the galactic tide, the influence of the Milky Way itself on the outer reaches of our solar system. Or maybe it's a bias in our observations, a trick of where we've looked and where we haven't. Science thrives on such debates, where one mystery can splinter into a dozen possible explanations. But for those who believe in Planet 9, the vision is hard to let go. They picture a lonely giant drifting through the dark, so far from the sun that it barely glows, so cold that its atmosphere may be frozen in place. A world exiled to the shadows, yet still powerful enough to shape the lives of smaller bodies all around it. There's a haunting beauty in that image. A planet that has never seen the sun as we know it, never basked in warmth or brightness, yet remains an essential part of the solar family. It is like the quiet relative who lives on the edge of town, rarely seen, but whose influence can still be felt in the stories people tell. And then comes the question that lingers at the back of every thought. If something that massive can hide so easily, what else might be out there, watching from the dark? Picture yourself drifting farther into the cold outer regions of the solar system. The familiar planets Jupiter with its swirling storms, Saturn with its golden rings are now far behind you, shrinking into specks of light. Beyond Neptune, the known map begins to blur. It's a wilderness of ice and silence, dotted with nameless worlds that orbit so slowly it takes centuries for them to move just a fraction of their path. Here, in this frozen frontier, the mystery of Planet 9 comes alive. Every new discovery of a distant object adds another brushstroke to a painting that seems to depict an unseen presence. A handful of these icy wanderers orbit in ways that simply defy explanation unless something massive is pulling them, shaping their dance from afar. Astronomers describe it in technical terms: eccentric orbits, perihelion clustering, orbital tilts, but if you strip away the jargon, the picture is almost poetic. These objects are like ships tossed on a vast ocean, all carried by the same invisible current. And somewhere, deep beneath the waves, something large must be stirring the waters. The idea is tantalizing, but it's also haunting. Because if a planet 10 times the mass of Earth can drift unseen for so long, what does that say about our ability to truly know the solar system we call home? We pride ourselves on exploration. We've sent probes past Pluto. We've mapped the cosmic microwave background. We can even detect planets around other stars, hundreds of light years away. And yet here, right in our own celestial backyard, there might be a giant world hiding in the shadows. It feels almost like a cosmic joke, a reminder that the universe will always keep some secrets close, as though to remind us of our limits. But scientists don't give up easily. They began simulating possibilities, feeding data into powerful computers. The models suggested that Planet 9 might orbit between 400 and 800 astronomical units from the Sun, that's up to 800 times farther than Earth is from the Sun. At such a distance, sunlight is a faint memory. Temperatures drop to hundreds of degrees below zero. Any atmosphere would likely freeze, falling as snow to the surface. What would such a planet look like? Some imagine it as a scaled-up version of Neptune, a pale blue giant cloaked in thin gases, faintly glowing under starlight. Others picture a rocky super-Earth crusted with ice, its surface a silent desert stretching endlessly into the dark. Either way, it would be a world where time moves differently, where centuries pass like days, and where the sun is just another star among many. And then comes the more unsettling thought. If we've overlooked a planet of that size, could we also be overlooking something else? Perhaps not a planet, but something stranger, an object with properties we do not yet understand, a visitor that doesn't quite fit the categories we've built. It is here that imagination begins to creep in. Could Planet 9, if it exists, be more than just a planet? Could it be something artificial, placed there long ago, silently watching? Of course, science has no evidence for this, but the human mind has never needed much to wander down paths of speculation. The very act of not knowing invites stories, and stories have always been our way of filling the dark. The Babylonians told tales of gods hidden among the stars. The Greeks imagined Hades beneath the earth and Olympus above the clouds. The Polynesians navigated oceans by reading the whispers of constellations. And today, we look into the Kuiper Belt and invent narratives about a shadow planet guiding the dance of distant worlds. But there's something deeper here than just imagination. The very act of searching for Planet 9 is also about searching for our place in the universe. We crave connection, and we crave explanation. If the orbits of distant objects can be explained by a hidden world, then suddenly the universe feels more ordered, less chaotic. There's comfort in believing that unseen forces have a logic, that what seems like randomness is actually a pattern waiting to be uncovered. Still, comfort is not the only emotion this search brings. There's also unease. Because what if the forces shaping those orbits are not a planet at all? What if they are caused by something we haven't yet considered? A passing star, a rogue black hole, or something we don't even have language for yet. These are the moments where science brushes against philosophy, where the question shifts from what is Planet 9? To what else could the universe be hiding? And in that shift, we begin to feel the weight of being small. Imagine now that you are standing on the frozen edge of the Kuiper Belt, staring outward into the void. You cannot see Planet 9. You cannot see anything but faint starlight reflected off ice. And yet, you feel it. Not with your eyes, not with your instruments, but with a kind of intuition that has always guided humans. The sense that something larger is just beyond reach, pulling the strings quietly, waiting to be noticed. And perhaps, in that stillness, the question rises. Are we discovering Planet 9, or is it revealing itself to us, at its own pace, in its own time? Think for a moment about what it means to search for something you cannot see. Astronomers are like detectives in the dark, building a case from fragments and shadows. They, Dante, have photographs of Planet 9. They, Dante, have direct measurements of its atmosphere or surface. What they have are whispers, orbits that bend when they shouldn't, alignments that resist randomness, motions that hint at a massive hand tugging from beyond the horizon. It's almost like trying to prove the existence of wind by watching leaves swirl across a street. You cannot see the air itself, but the movement of the leaves tells you something invisible is passing through. Planet 9 is the wind, and the Kuiper Belt objects are the leaves. The evidence grows with each discovery. More icy bodies are found drifting beyond Neptune, And again, their orbits seem too neatly aligned, too strangely tilted. The math points to a single conclusion. A gravitational heavyweight is hiding out there, bending the paths of smaller worlds like a conductor guiding an unseen symphony. But the symphony is unfinished. The instruments are scattered. Some scientists argue that we don't yet have enough notes to hear the full song. Others insist that the melody is clear, if only we listen closely. And in that debate lies the beauty of science itself, always questioning, always doubting, always searching. Imagine being one of those astronomers, staring at computer screens filled with data, running simulations late into the night. You know the odds. You know that finding Planet 9 directly will not be easy. It could take decades of scanning the sky, pixel by pixel, waiting for the faintest flicker of motion to betray its presence. But you also know the stakes. If Planet 9 is real, it will be one of the most important discoveries in modern astronomy. Proof that our solar system is still incomplete, still holding secrets in its shadows. And then comes the question that always lingers at the edge of discovery. If Planet 9 is real, why has it stayed hidden for so long? Perhaps it is simply distance. At hundreds of astronomical units away, sunlight is too faint to reflect brightly from its surface. Even our most powerful telescopes may struggle to distinguish it from the countless stars that crowd the sky. It is like searching for a candle flame in the middle of a galaxy. Or perhaps its orbit is tilted in such a way that it spends most of its time in regions of the sky rarely observed. The universe is vast, and even with modern instruments, our gaze is still narrow. The night sky may feel endless, but to a telescope, it is like peering through a straw. But then, another possibility emerges. What if Planet 9 is not hiding by accident? What if there is something deliberate about its obscurity? Of course, this is not science. Speaking it is imagination. Yet imagination has always been the shadow companion of science. When we cannot explain, we speculate. When we cannot measure, we dream. And dreams have power. Some imagine that Planet 9 could be a captured rogue planet, an orphaned world that once drifted between the stars until our sun's gravity pulled it into orbit. If that's true, then Planet 9 is not truly one of us. It is a visitor, a stranger, a reminder that even in the cosmic dark, objects wander, collide, and are claimed. Others stretch imagination further, whispering, what if it is not a planet at all? What if it is something artificial, something placed there intentionally, an ancient construct, a silent watchtower on the edge of our system? There is no evidence, of course, but as long as Planet 9 remains unseen, the possibility clings like a shadow at the edge of thought. And here is the part that keeps people awake at night, or perhaps makes them drift into an easy sleep. If something is watching us, how would we know? Would its influence be subtle, like the gravitational pull shaping icy orbits? Or would it be quiet, patient, content to remain unseen until the right moment? The truth is, we cannot yet answer. And maybe that is what makes Planet 9 so compelling. It is not just a scientific puzzle, but a mirror for our own imagination, reflecting both our hopes and our fears. As you lie here listening, imagine yourself suspended in that outer darkness. You see nothing but faint points of starlight. You hear nothing but the echo of your own breath. Yet beneath the silence, there is structure. Beneath the randomness, there is pattern. Something larger than you is at work, shaping, guiding, orchestrating, and perhaps, just perhaps, it is also aware of you. That is the haunting possibility of Planet 9. That in searching for it, we are not just gazing outward into the void, but also inward, into the very heart of what it means to be human. Curious, fearful, hopeful, forever seeking answers to questions we cannot fully articulate. So let yourself rest now, carried by the rhythm of orbits and tides. Imagine the icy worlds drifting slowly in the dark, their paths carved by something unseen. Imagine the vast silence that blankets them, a silence older than history, older than memory. And know that somewhere in that silence, a story is unfolding, a story still waiting to be told. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast ocean at night. The waves roll in, endlessly, dark and infinite, their rhythm carrying secrets from places you cannot see. Looking outward, the horizon disappears into blackness. That, in many ways, is what astronomers face when they turn their instruments toward the outer solar system. They are gazing across an endless cosmic ocean, where shadows hide more than light reveals, and Planet 9 is the faint ripple on those far-off waves. The hunt for this hidden world is not just about mathematics or orbital mechanics. It is also about patience and almost spiritual devotion to searching the unknown. You could spend years combing through images of stars, galaxies, and noise, looking for a single object that drifts ever so slightly against the background. To the untrained eye, it looks meaningless. To the astronomer, it might be the faint heartbeat of a new world. But here's the strange truth. The further out we look, the less our solar system feels like home. Inside the orbit of Neptune, things feel familiar. We have the rocky planets, the gas giants, the asteroid belt, moons, and comets. But beyond Neptune, the map becomes incomplete. Vast, icy bodies roam in orbits that make little sense. Some tilt dramatically, others loop far above and below the plane of the solar system, as if tugged by invisible strings. It is there, in that chaos, that Planet Nine's shadow stretches across everything. The very idea of it rewrites the story of our solar system. Imagine if you had always believed your neighborhood was complete, every street, every house accounted for, and then someone whispers, "There's another street. It's hidden in the fog, but it's there. And on that street, there is a house larger than all the others." That is what Planet 9 represents, a revelation, that what we thought was the full picture may only be the beginning. But this search also carries an unsettling thought. What if Planet 9 is more than just a planet? What if its story is entangled with something older, something that reaches beyond the scientific into the mythical? When humanity first looked at the night sky, before telescopes, before data, we filled the darkness with gods, monsters, and watchers. Every star had a story. Every wandering planet was a messenger. The unknown was never just empty, it was alive. And even today, with all our technology, those instincts have not left us. We still look at the dark edges of our solar system and feel that old, familiar question, are we alone in this? Astronomers will tell you that the data points toward a massive planet, maybe 10 times the size of Earth, orbiting hundreds of times farther from the Sun than we are. They'll say its gravity explains the strange motions of smaller, icy bodies. They'll remind you that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and so far, we don't have direct proof. But outside of the labs, in quiet conversations, in late-night thoughts, the imagination wanders. What if Planet 9 is not a natural part of our system? What if it was captured? Or worse, what if it was placed? The very act of asking those questions reveals something profound about us. We are never content with simple explanations. We want to pull back the curtain, to look for intention, for story. We want to know if the shadows have eyes. And so Planet 9 becomes not just a scientific mystery, but a canvas for our deepest fears and our most daring dreams. And that canvas stretches wide. Some whisper about it being a failed star, a dim companion to the Sun, lurking out there in the dark. A twin of our own star, so faint and so far that it has escaped our gaze. If that were true, then every orbit we know, every planet we love, has always been under the influence of a hidden partner. We would not be the family of one star, but two. Others imagine Planet 9 as a shepherd of comets, guiding icy wanderers toward the inner solar system, shaping not just the edges of space, but the history of life itself. Could impacts on Earth, the great catastrophes and extinctions, the very events that shaped evolution, have been nudged into place by the hand of this unseen planet? If so, then Planet 9 has always been part of our story, even without our knowing. But then, there is the darkest speculation. The idea that Planet 9 is not merely shaping orbits, it is watching. A sentinel. A presence, not alive in the way we understand, but perhaps alive in some way we cannot. Perhaps it is not even alone. As you lie here listening, let that possibility settle like a whisper in the back of your mind. Somewhere out there, beyond the edge of light, beyond the familiar warmth of our sun, something massive drifts in silence. We cannot see it, we cannot hear it, but its influence touches us. Its gravity shapes our home. And maybe, just maybe, it is more aware of us than we dare to believe. This is the essence of the Planet 9 mystery. Science and imagination dancing together in the dark. One step is data, the other is dream. Together, they carry us deeper into the unknown. So close your eyes now, and picture that ocean of stars again. You are standing at its shore, listening to the waves. You know there is something out there, something vast, something hidden. The only question is, when it finally emerges from the darkness, what will it reveal about us, about our world, and about the universe itself? Imagine yourself drifting slowly through space, far beyond the planets we know, past Neptune, past Pluto, past the icy fragments of the Kuiper Belt. Out here, the sun is just another star, its warmth, a distant memory. The silence is overwhelming. You are floating in a region where space feels empty, but it isn't truly empty. It is filled with ancient ice, invisible particles, and perhaps, somewhere hidden in this cold abyss, Planet 9. Astronomers describe this hypothetical world as a ghost in the data. It leaves no direct trace, no bright reflection, no shimmering glow. But its presence is written in the motion of other bodies, like fingerprints left behind at a cosmic crime scene. Something massive is tugging at the edges of our solar system, bending orbits into unusual shapes, pulling distant objects into patterns that should not exist. That something is either Planet 9 or something stranger still. To understand why scientists are so certain, let's picture the scattered disk. The distant home of icy worlds that orbit the sun in unpredictable ways. Normally, we would expect these bodies to be scattered randomly, their orbits tilted in many directions. But what astronomers found was shocking. Many of these orbits seemed to be aligned, grouped together as if by an unseen hand. This alignment cannot be explained by chance alone. It suggests a massive gravitational sculptor at work, an object large enough to organize chaos. Some compare this invisible presence to a puppeteer pulling strings on a stage. We cannot see the figure behind the curtain, but the motions of the marionettes tell us someone is there. The icy bodies at the edge of the solar system are those marionettes, and their odd dances whisper the same message. Something powerful is hiding in the dark. And yet, for all the confidence of the mathematics, Planet 9 refuses to reveal itself. Powerful telescopes sweep the skies, taking millions of images, each packed with countless stars and galaxies, and still it hides. Perhaps it is too far, reflecting too little light. Perhaps it moves so slowly that years of careful tracking are required to notice it. Or perhaps it is something else entirely. This is where imagination takes over, where science meets wonder. Some suggest that Planet 9 might not be a planet at all, but a primordial black hole, a remnant from the dawn of the universe. Imagine something no larger than a bowling ball, yet with the mass of a planet, lurking unseen in the outer solar system. It would be invisible, swallowing all light, leaving only its gravitational influence. If this were true, then humanity has been orbiting alongside a silent monster all along. Others suggest it could be a captured planet, stolen from another star system billions of years ago. Perhaps, in the crowded birth cluster of the Sun, stars brushed close to one another, stealing and trading worlds like marbles. If Planet 9 is such a captive, then it is a visitor from another star, a stranger hiding in the shadows of our family. And then there is the most unsettling possibility of all, that it is not an accident. That its orbit, its presence, its silence, are deliberate. That somewhere in the darkness, something has placed it there. A watcher, a sentinel, not necessarily alive in the way we think of life, but purposeful nonetheless. This idea may sound like fantasy, but so many of humanity's greatest fears and fascinations live in this gray space between science and myth. Ancient civilizations looked to the heavens and saw gods of war, gods of love, gods of chaos. Today, we look with telescopes instead of naked eyes, but the longing for meaning remains. When we ask whether Planet 9 could be watching us, we are echoing those ancient fears, that the heavens are not indifferent, but aware. The very scale of Planet 9's supposed orbit fuels this mystery. If it exists, it may take between 10,000 and 20,000 years to circle the Sun once. Think about that. While humans built civilizations, discovered fire, painted caves, wrote myths, fought wars, and dreamed of the stars, this object would have moved only a tiny fraction along its path. To us, its motion is invisible, glacial, eternal. In a human lifetime, it hardly budges at all. That slowness makes it feel more like a fixture than a traveler, more like a silent sentinel than a planet. And when you hear that number 20,000 years, you may wonder, how much history has it already seen? When the first humans left Africa to spread across the earth, Planet 9 was out there, circling. When the pyramids were raised, when Rome fell, when the first telescope turned toward the sky, it was still there, drifting silently in the dark. To imagine something so constant, so enduring, is to realize how fragile and brief our own lives are in comparison. And yet, maybe that is the lesson Planet 9 whispers to us, to slow down, to step back, to see the vastness of time and space, and realize that our world is only one small thread in a far larger tapestry. It reminds us that the universe is not finished, that our map is still incomplete, and that we are still explorers on the frontier of cosmic discovery. As you relax deeper now, imagine lying on the deck of a quiet ship, drifting across a black ocean. Above you, countless stars shimmer. Somewhere in that darkness, unseen but present, is a giant world, heavy and ancient, circling endlessly. You may never see it with your eyes, but its pull is real, shaping the dance of countless smaller worlds. It is there, like a shadow just out of reach, like a secret whispered but never revealed. And in that shadow lies the question that has haunted us from the beginning. Are we being watched? Not by gods, not by monsters, but by the universe itself, through worlds we cannot yet see, through mysteries we cannot yet solve. Planet 9, real or imagined, embodies that timeless question. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the outer solar system as a stage. The bright lights are turned off. Only faint glimmers of stars remain. On this stage, the known planets dance their familiar orbits: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, the gas giants, and the icy worlds we've come to know. But behind the curtain, in the deep shadows where no spotlight reaches, there may be another performer. A slow, patient dancer, moving to a rhythm we cannot hear. That is how Planet 9 exists in our imagination, not as a certainty, but as a presence felt more than seen. One of the most fascinating aspects of this mystery is how it forces us to confront the limits of human perception. For thousands of years, we believed the heavens revolved around Earth, because that is all our eyes could see. When the telescope was invented, suddenly the universe expanded. Moons, rings, galaxies, they were always there, but hidden until our tools improved. Planet 9 is perhaps the next chapter of this unfolding story. It may already be out there, waiting, just beyond the reach of today's technology. But what if it isn't a planet at all? Some scientists have speculated that the hidden mass shaping these orbits could be something more exotic. Imagine a dense clump of dark matter, invisible and undetectable except by its gravity. Dark matter, the unseen scaffolding of the universe, makes up most of the cosmos, yet we know almost nothing about it. If Planet 9 were a dark matter core, it would mean that the strange alignments of distant objects are not the fingerprint of a planet, but of the very substance that holds galaxies together. To think that our own solar system might cradle such a secret is both unsettling and And then there is the chilling possibility of a primordial black hole. Picture an object no bigger than a grapefruit, yet with the mass of the Earth. Invisible, silent, swallowing light itself. If such a black hole were drifting in the outer solar system, it would be undetectable by normal means. Only its gravitational handprint would betray its existence. This idea may sound terrifying, but in truth, such an object would be no more dangerous than a planet at that distance. It would orbit quietly, like a dark pearl on the string of our solar system. But to know it is there to imagine a tiny black sun circling in the cold adds an entirely new dimension to our understanding of home. Speculation doesn't stop there. Some astronomers have even whispered about the possibility of Planet 9 being an artificial object, a megastructure, a vast machine placed deliberately on the outskirts of the solar system. To skeptics, this sounds like pure fantasy, but when confronted with the unknown, human imagination often reaches for the extraordinary. What if Planet 9 were a probe, a watcher left behind by a civilization far older than ours? What if its orbit was not random, but calculated a long, slow surveillance path, taking millennia to complete, but ensuring a permanent watch over our small blue world? Of course, no evidence yet supports this. And yet, the thought lingers like a shadow in the mind. Why? Because stories of watchers are as old as humanity itself. Myths across the world speak of eyes in the sky, of gods, spirits, and ancestors watching from above. The idea of being observed is woven deep into our collective imagination. So when science hints at a hidden world, far away and unseen, it is natural for our oldest fears and fascinations to resurface. Consider this. If Planet 9 truly exists, its orbit would be staggeringly vast. It might take 15,000 years to circle the Sun once. Think of what that means. By the time it completes a single orbit, human civilization may have risen and fallen many times. Languages will have been born and forgotten. Entire histories will have unfolded. From its distant vantage, Planet 9 would have seen us as sparks flickering briefly, then gone. In a way, it becomes a symbol of time itself, of endurance beyond our comprehension. And here is the paradox. We long to find it, to confirm it, to capture its image, yet we are also comforted by its mystery. To have a secret still hidden in our own solar system reminds us that discovery is not finished, that the cosmos is not yet fully mapped. There are still shadows where wonder can live. Planet 9 may or may not exist, but the pursuit of it has already enriched our imagination. It reminds us that we are explorers not only of space, but of possibility. So, as you let your mind drift deeper into relaxation, imagine the unseen world. A planet may be icy, may be rocky, may be something stranger circling silently, patiently, at the edge of everything we know. It has waited billions of years, untouched, unknown, while Earth blossomed with life. Perhaps one day, when our telescopes sharpen and our technology improves, we will finally see it. And on that day, our solar system will feel a little larger, a little more alive. Until then, it remains a story we tell ourselves, a bedtime mystery, whispered across the stars. And maybe, just maybe, that is its true gift. Not the discovery itself, but the questions it inspires. Questions that make us look up at the night sky with the same wonder our ancestors once felt. Questions that remind us that no matter how much we know, the universe will always hold secrets just out of reach. Picture the night sky as our ancestors once saw Itan infinite dome, scattered with stars, mysterious and alive. They looked upward not only for guidance, but for meaning. Every strange flicker, every wandering light, every eclipse or comet was more than a natural event. It was a sign, a whisper from the heavens, something to be feared, or worshipped, or followed. In that way, the search for Planet 9 is not just modern science, it is part of a story that stretches back through every civilization that has ever walked the Earth. The idea that something might be watching us from the dark resonates deeply, because it connects to that ancient thread. Across cultures, there are tales of hidden planets, of unseen worlds that hold sway over human fate. The Babylonians charted the skies with incredible precision, believing that the positions of the planets influenced the destiny of kings and nations. The Greeks gave us the word planet, which meant wanderer, because they saw these points of light drifting against the backdrop of fixed stars, unpredictable and alive. And far across the world, the Maya, the Chinese, the Polynesians, all found patterns and portents in the heavens. If Planet 9 truly exists, then it would be the fulfillment of one of humanity's oldest intuitions, that the universe is not fully known, and that the greatest mysteries often lie just beyond the horizon of sight. The very possibility stirs something primal in us, the feeling that we are not alone, that the sky is alive with secrets. But let us step back into the quiet of the outer solar system, where the whispers of these myths meet the silence of science. Imagine drifting once again beyond Neptune, past the Kuiper belt, into the deep freeze, where the sun is a faint lantern. Here, we find the realm of trans-Neptunian objects, icy wanderers whose orbits stretch into the unimaginable. Astronomers have mapped many of these, but their patterns make little sense unless something massive, invisible, is shepherding them from afar. That shepherd could be Planet 9, a world perhaps 10 times the mass of Earth, moving on a distant elliptical path. It might be rocky, or icy, or cloaked in a thick atmosphere of gas and dust. Whatever its nature, it would be a lonely world, too far from the sun's warmth to know light as we know it, a place of endless twilight, where the stars shine brighter than the sun, and where the silence is so deep that it feels almost alive. And here is where the mystery deepens. Because to imagine such a place is to confront the possibility of something entirely outside our human scale. Planet 9, if real, has always been there through the rise and fall of civilizations, through the birth of languages and myths, through the entire history of human dreaming. It is patient, eternal, a ghost orbiting in the shadows. And to some, that patience feels almost deliberate, as though the universe itself has stationed it there, a hidden guardian on the edge of our domain. Of course, science does not claim intention. It speaks only of mass, orbit, probability. But the human mind cannot help but add layers of meaning. To us, a hidden world is never just a rocket, is a possibility. It is a story. It is a mirror for our deepest fears and hopes. And so, when scientists whisper about Planet 9, the imagination whispers something else, that perhaps we are being observed. Not by gods in the old sense, but by the cosmos itself, through the silent gaze of a world we have not yet seen. As you drift deeper now, think of how small we are in comparison. Earth, our entire home, is but one world among billions. And yet, from here, we wonder, we dream, we search, we send telescopes into space, we map the heavens, we build theories of hidden planets. This act of searching is, in itself, a kind of defiance, a refusal to accept that the map is complete. And perhaps that is why Planet 9 matters so much. Not because it will change the way we live day to day, but because it proves there are still shadows to chase. That beyond the known, there is always the unknown. That the universe is not a solved puzzle, but a story still unfolding. Now, let the image settle in your mind. A dark, distant world, circling endlessly, untouched by sunlight, older than history, and still waiting. What secrets it holds, we cannot know. But its silence speaks to us, even now, across the void. To understand the weight of Planet 9's mystery, we need to travel back in time, not just to the discoveries of the last few decades, but to the very roots of human wonder. For as long as people have gazed at the night sky, we have believed that unseen forces beyond Earth shape our fate. In a sense, Planet 9 is the modern face of an ancient belief, that the heavens hold secrets too vast to ignore. Think of the way comets once terrified entire civilizations. When a blazing comet appeared, brighter than the stars, ancient people saw it as a sign of catastrophe, famine, war, or the fall of kings. To them, the heavens were speaking directly, sending messages written in light across the sky. Today, we understand comets as icy travelers from the outer solar system, but the fear they inspired reminds us of a deeper truth. We are wired to see meaning in the unknown. And Planet 9, still hidden, still unproven, speaks to that same instinct. Even scientists admit that they feel its presence in the data, like a shadow moving just out of view. The orbits of distant objects do not lie. Something large is pulling at them, sculpting their paths into strange alignments. It is not proof in the traditional sense, but it is a pattern, and patterns are the beginning of every great discovery. Now, let us pause for a moment and imagine what it might be like to stand on the surface of such a world. The ground would likely be frozen rock and ice, locked in eternal cold. The sun, so distant, would be no brighter than a star in the night sky. Imagine looking up and seeing not a blue sky but an endless curtain of stars, sharp and brilliant, dominating the heavens. The constellations would appear almost unchanged, but their meaning would be different. For from this vantage point, Earth would not be a dominant world, it would be a pale, fragile dot, barely visible in the darkness. To stand on Planet 9 would be to see our home from the outside, to understand just how small and delicate we truly are. Perhaps that is why the idea unsettles us, because it shifts our perspective. We are no longer the center, but just one among many, watched perhaps by a silent neighbor we cannot see. Some scientists propose that if Planet 9 exists, it may have moons of its own, icy satellites orbiting quietly in the cold. Imagine those moons reflecting faint light, their surfaces marked by craters and frozen seas, untouched for billions of years. Each one a world unto itself, circling a planet we have not yet found. The thought is both humbling and electrifying, that hidden within our own solar system, There may be entire landscapes no human has ever dreamed of. But the most haunting part of this story is not the ice, the darkness, or the silence. It is the possibility of intention. Because whenever humans confront the unknown, we cannot resist asking, is it just coincidence? Or is it deliberate? The phrase "is something watching us" echoes across every culture and every age. It is the question behind myths of gods in the sky, angels, demons, and cosmic guardians. It is the question that drives conspiracy theories about UFOs and alien visitors. And now, it lingers around Planet 9 as well. Of course, most astronomers will tell you, it is just physics, an unseen planet, a distant mass, nothing more. But late at night, when the mind drifts and the imagination wanders, that explanation feels incomplete. Why does this object hide so well? Why has it resisted every attempt at discovery? Why now, after billions of years, does its influence begin to reveal itself in the data? The timing feels uncanny, as though the universe is offering us a glimpse at just the right moment in our development. Some thinkers even suggest that the act of searching is itself the point. That Planet 9 exists not only as a world but as a mirror, forcing us to confront how little we know, how much we assume, and how vast the universe remains. In this way, it becomes almost symbolic, a reminder that knowledge is always incomplete, that mystery is always part of the human journey. So, as you settle deeper into rest, picture this. Somewhere, far beyond the reach of our eyes, a dark planet drifts silently in its orbit. It does not hurry, it does not glow, it simply waits, circling, patient, and eternal. And whether it is a planet, a black hole, or something beyond imagination, its presence reminds us of the same truth. That we are small, that the universe is vast, and that there are always secrets waiting in the dark. There is another layer to this mystery, one that is not written in numbers or equations, but in the quiet corridors of human imagination. Think of the stories we tell ourselves when the night feels heavy and the stars look sharper than usual. We imagine eyes out there in the dark, watching, waiting. It is an instinct that runs deep, older than science, older than civilization itself. For every cave painter who sketched constellations on stone walls, for every poet who lifted their voice to the heavens, there was always this lingering thought: we are not alone. Planet 9, whether real or imagined, presses on this ancient nerve. Its darkness makes it the perfect vessel for our fears and fascinations. Unlike Mars or Jupiter, bright, visible, and familiar, Planet 9 is hidden. The mind fills that void with possibilities. Could it be a planet that once harbored oceans, now frozen over? Could it be a captured rogue world, a wanderer from another star system that slipped into our orbit like a stranger entering a room unnoticed? Or most haunting of all, could it be more than rock and ice? Could it be an outpost, a construct, a sentinel left in place to observe? Science does not require such ideas, yet they persist. Why? Because the human brain is not built merely to catalog facts. It is built to weave stories. We cannot look into darkness without imagining shapes within it. And so, Planet 9 becomes not only an astronomical puzzle, but a canvas for our deepest suspicions and hopes. Picture yourself standing at a window late at night, looking out into the yard. The air is still, the shadows stretch long. Rationally, you know no one is there. And yet, a part of you feels the prickling sensation of being watched. The darkness carries weight. This is the same feeling humanity projects onto the far reaches of the solar system. The hidden planet is like that shadow at the edge of sight, silent, unmoving, but impossible to ignore. Some scientists speculate that if Planet 9 exists, it may be much larger than Earth, 5 to 10 times its mass. Its gravity would be immense, shaping the orbits of countless icy bodies in the Kuiper Belt. Yet, even with that power, it keeps to itself, circling the sun at a distance so vast it takes thousands of years to complete one orbit. Imagine the patience of such a world, drifting in darkness while human history plays out, empires rising and falling, discoveries made and forgotten, all while it moves silently, indifferent to us. And yet, in that silence, we sense something more. The way the orbits of distant objects align, the way the mathematics whisper of an unseen hand, it almost feels intentional. Of course, this may be pure coincidence, nothing more than gravity doing what gravity always does. But intention is what our minds reach for when faced with the unknown. If the universe is a vast stage, then Planet 9 is the curtain that has not yet been pulled back, hiding something we cannot quite glimpse. Now, let us drift further into this thought. What if, beyond the ice and rock, there is something else, something designed? A structure buried beneath the frozen crust, silent and waiting. A signal transmitter, a probe, perhaps even an ancient relic left by a civilization long gone, drifting through the ages until chance placed it near our sun. It is speculation, yes, but speculation has always been the seed of discovery. The first humans to look at the sky and ask, what are those lights? We're not scientists, but dreamers. And in that same spirit, we allow ourselves to wonder what Planet 9 might conceal. The allure of such thoughts is not in their likelihood, but in their possibility. Even if the truth is mundane, a frozen world with no secrets, it still changes our place in the cosmos. because to confirm Planet 9 is to admit that our solar system is larger, stranger, and more alive with unseen forces than we realized. It is a reminder that we do not yet hold the final map, that blank spaces still remain, even in our cosmic backyard. So, as you sink deeper into calm, let yourself picture this: a lonely planet turning slowly in the dark, its surface etched with craters and mountains of ice. Above, a sky thick with stars, brighter and sharper than any sky seen from Earth. No sound, no warmth, only the endless pull of gravity, keeping it tethered to the sun. And somewhere, across the vast distance of space, our little blue planet spins on, unaware, fragile, glowing faintly in the black. In that contrast lies the essence of the mystery, the known and the unknown, the light and the dark, the watcher and the watched. Whether Planet 9 is real or imagined, whether it is a natural world or something more, it speaks to the part of us that is forever reaching into the shadows, searching for meaning. And that, perhaps, is its greatest secret, that it reminds us we are still explorers, still dreamers, still children of the night sky. Let us begin this part by shifting our gaze back toward Earth, because sometimes to understand the mysteries out there, we must reflect on the way we live down here. Human history is marked by a pattern. The more we discover, the more questions appear. Each breakthrough in knowledge is like opening a door, only to find a hallway filled with more locked doors waiting. Planet 9 is one of those locked doors, but it is not the first. Think back to the discovery of Neptune. In the 1800s, astronomers noticed that Uranus did not move quite as it should. Its orbit wobbled, as though pulled by some unseen force. Instead of dismissing the discrepancy, they trusted the mathematics. The calculations pointed to another planet, and when telescopes turned to the predicted spot, there it was, Neptune, a giant waiting in the dark. That story has become almost legendary in astronomy, proof that unseen planets can be revealed by the traces they leave behind. Planet 9's story feels eerily similar. We do not see it directly, but the orbits of distant objects whisper its presence, like the faint tug of a hidden current in the ocean. Its influence shapes what we can observe. History tells us this pattern often leads to discovery. And yet, there is also caution, because history holds another lesson. At the edge of the 19th century, astronomers predicted another planet beyond Neptune, Planet X. They believed it was responsible for small anomalies in Neptune's orbit. The search consumed decades, driven by the belief that another hidden world must be there. In the early 20th century, Clyde Tombaugh found Pluto. At first, Pluto was celebrated as Planet X, but as data improved, it became clear. Pluto was far too small to explain the anomalies. Later still, more precise measurements revealed the anomalies themselves were The great mystery had been an illusion. Pluto remained real, but Planet X, as envisioned, did not exist. This cautionary tale hangs over the search for Planet 9. Are we chasing another illusion, repeating history, or is this different? Scientists argue both sides with passion. Some say the evidence is overwhelming. The clustering of distant icy bodies, their tilted orbits, the way they all seem to lean in the same direction. Too much order, they argue, for chance. Others warn of bias of humans seeing patterns where none exist, of data twisted by our own expectations. And yet, what makes Planet 9 irresistible is not just the science, it is the human hunger for mystery. The possibility of another world hidden in our own system is like an echo of childhood wonder, when the world still felt vast and uncharted. To think that something so large, so significant, could still be unseen, feels almost impossible in our age of satellites and telescopes. And yet, here we are, staring into the dark, asking, what if? Imagine, for a moment, the scene, somewhere far beyond Neptune, billions of miles away, a world circles the sun. It has done so for billions of years, unseen, untouched. The faint light of the sun barely reaches it, casting a weak cold glow across its frozen plains. Its day may last as long as ours, or perhaps much longer, depending on its rotation. Its year, though it spanned thousands of Earth years. Civilizations could rise and fall in the time it takes for this world to make a single journey around the sun. Picture what that means. While humanity built its first cities, the hidden planet had not yet completed a single orbit. While the pyramids rose, while empires clashed, while the first telescope was turned skyward, this planet continued its slow, patient journey, oblivious to us. It is almost humbling to think that if it exists, it has always been there waiting. And here we are, finally close to noticing it. The idea that something so massive could remain invisible until now feels like a cosmic trick. But it also reveals something important. Our sense of mastery over the solar system is an illusion. We think we know it well, but perhaps we have only begun to scratch the surface. The dark outskirts, the Kuiper Belt, the Oort cloud remained, largely unexplored. It is a reminder that even at home, in our own neighborhood of the universe, there are shadows we cannot yet see into. Now, let's return to the question that hovers over this story. Is something watching us? This is not a scientific question, it is an emotional one. And yet, it will not leave us. The very title of Planet 9 invites suspicion. A hidden world, massive and powerful, orbiting in darkness. It sounds less like astronomy and more like myth. To some, it feels like the eyes of fate, watching humanity from the edge of the solar system, silent but aware. Of course, most scientists would dismiss that thought immediately. They would remind us that planets do not watch, that they are only rock and ice. But in the quiet hours of the night, when reason loosens its grip, the imagination takes hold. And then the thought returns. If the universe has hidden this planet so carefully, what else might it hide? There is a strange irony in how human beings react to the unknown. On one hand, we crave answers, we build observatories on mountaintops, we send probes across the solar system, we stare into the void with ever more powerful instruments. On the other hand, the deeper we look, the more our minds wander into fear. The mystery of Planet 9 lives in this tension. It is a scientific puzzle, but it is also a canvas for imagination. Consider the vast distance at which Planet 9 is thought to orbit. Estimates suggest it could be 20 times farther from the Sun than Neptune. To give perspective, if you were standing on its icy surface, the Sun would not appear as a blazing disk in the sky, but as a bright star, sharper than the others but still small, almost fragile. The cold would be unimaginable. Temperatures there might sink hundreds of degrees below freezing. Winds would whip across frozen plains. Any atmosphere it holds would be thin and fragile, perhaps nitrogen or methane, barely clinging to the surface. And yet, a planet that distant and that cold could still shape our system. Its gravitational reach would stretch across billions of miles, herding icy bodies into peculiar orbits, bending the paths of comets, tilting entire regions of the Kuiper Belt. If Planet 9 exists, it is a reminder that size and mass matter more than distance. Even from the edge, its hand could guide the dance of countless smaller worlds. Now, step back from science and think about how humans throughout history would have reacted to such an idea. Imagine an ancient culture learning that a massive unseen world lurks beyond their view. To them, this would not be just a planet. It would be a god, a hidden deity moving silently through the heavens. Its invisibility would make it even more powerful, for what is unseen often feels more dangerous than what is known. Many myths tell of hidden watchers, beings who stand at the edge of the world, observing humanity. In Norse mythology, there is Heimdall, the watchman of the gods, who sees all and hears the grass grow. In Greek tradition, there is Atlas, holding up the heavens, forever, at the edge. In Mesoamerican stories, gods lived in the farthest corners of the sky, watching mortals with cold eyes. Could Planet 9 be a modern version of these myths? A celestial watcher cloaked, not in myth but in math. Of course, when scientists speak of Planet 9, they do not imagine a conscious being. Yet the very language we use, hidden, dark, lurking, gives it a personality. It is as though our minds cannot help but imagine intention, even where there is none. A planet is not alive, but its mystery makes it feel alive in our stories. And perhaps that is why so many find the idea unsettling. Because if Planet 9 exists, we must confront another possibility. What if it is not alone? The solar system's outskirts are so vast, so unexplored, that one hidden planet may be only the beginning. The Oort cloud, a sphere of icy bodies that surrounds the solar system, stretches light years into space. Within that frozen shell, countless objects drift. To think that only one of them might be large is almost naive. There may be 2, or 3, or a dozen unseen worlds orbiting in the dark. The thought grows heavier when we consider how these worlds could interact with us. A massive planet passing too close could disrupt the Oort cloud, sending comets raining inward toward Earth. Over millions of years, such events may have happened many times. Some scientists even suggest that periodic extinctions on Earth, massive die-offs of life, might align with cosmic cycles, triggered by disturbances from hidden objects at the edge of the solar system. If that is true, then the hidden planet is not just a silent neighbor. It is a participant in Earth's history, shaping our fate from afar. Its influence would not be conscious, but it would be real. Dinosaurs may have lived and died under the shadow of its orbit. Mammals may have risen in its wake. And we, sitting here tonight, may owe our very existence to the ripple effects of a planet we have yet to see. And yet, with all of this weight, the planet remains invisible. Telescopes search, surveys, scan, but the sky is wide, and the night is endless. The possibility remains just that, a possibility. Perhaps, one day soon, we will catch the faint light of Planet 9, captured by a distant observatory camera. Or perhaps we will never find it, and it will remain a rumor, a ghost that lives only in mathematics and imagination. But for now, it hovers in the twilight between science and story. The numbers suggest it is there. The imagination says it is watching. The heart, restless as ever, wants both to be true. And so the question lingers in the silence. If Planet 9 exists, does it see us, in some way we cannot understand? Or do we, fragile and small, project our own need for meaning onto the cold, lifeless rocks of space? If you've ever sat under a night sky, far from the noise of cities, you know the feeling of being watched. Not by a person, not by an animal, but by the stars themselves. It's an ancient sensation, a primal awareness that we are small, that the universe is vast, and that our lives are unfolding beneath a canopy that feels alive. When people talk about Planet 9 as a hidden watcher, they're reaching back to that instinct. The stars don't literally see us. Planets don't literally observe. But something deep inside whispers otherwise, and that whisper is older than science. So let's imagine, for a moment, not what Planet 9 is, but what it means. To scientists, it means equations that balance, models that align with observation. To storytellers, it means mystery, the possibility that something enormous has been waiting, undetected, just outside our reach. To dreamers, it means the universe is not finished, surprising us. And to the fearful, it means a shadow, a presence too close for comfort. This mixture of meanings is powerful, because it reveals how discovery is never just about facts. Discovery reshapes imagination. When we first saw Earth from space, the image of a blue marble floating in blackness changed how people thought about themselves. When we first glimpsed the moons of Jupiter, tiny worlds with their own oceans and volcanoes, it changed how we imagined life beyond Earth. If we one day confirm Planet 9, it will not just add a dot to a star chart, it will add a new dimension to the way we think about our home. There's also a humbling reminder here, that we do not know our solar system as well as we think we do. For centuries, people assumed the sun and planets were familiar territory. But even now, with spacecraft roaming Mars and probes flying past Pluto, we are still uncertain about what exists in the outer dark. The discovery of Planet 9 would be a confession, of sorts, that even in our backyard, there are secrets left to uncover. But let's linger on the more unsettling side of the story. If Planet 9 exists, then by definition, it has always been there. It has been orbiting silently for billions of years, long before Earth had oceans, long before dinosaurs walked, long before humans dreamed of gods or built cities. It has been present for every chapter of our history, every sunrise and sunset. And only now, in this thin slice of time, are we beginning to suspect it. That thought alone is enough to spark unease. What else is out there, watching us from the dark, that we do not yet suspect? Some theories even push the speculation further. A few researchers have proposed that Planet 9 might not be a planet at all, but something stranger. A failed star, perhaps a brown dwarf, too small to ignite but massive enough to shape orbits. Others go further still. What if it is not natural at all? What if it were once captured, placed, or even guided into its orbit by forces unknown? These are fringe ideas, but they show how quickly mystery invites imagination. And in that imagination, the watcher becomes more than metaphor, it becomes literal. A world, or a fragment of a star, sitting at the edge of our system, perhaps with its own moons, perhaps with its own hidden history. Could life exist there, buried deep beneath the ice, warmed by internal heat? Could intelligence? The probability is slim. But the question alone reshapes the silence of the night sky. Even if the planet is lifeless, it still forces us to confront how fragile we are. Earth's orbit is stable, but only because of a delicate balance between countless gravitational forces. Change one of those forces, even slightly, and the stability can collapse. If Planet 9 exists, it is part of that balance. If its orbit were different, our history might be different. We live, unknowingly, in relationship with a world we may never see. And so, as we close this part of the story, let's return to that quiet image. A hidden planet, circling far away, shrouded in eternal night. It does not think, it does not see. But to us, it feels like a presence. Because what is more unsettling, that the universe hides such giants in silence, or that we are only now beginning to notice. Planet 9 is not just a question of astronomy. It is a question of perspective. It asks us to consider how much we do not know and how much we assume. It invites us to dream, and it dares us to wonder. If something so massive can hide in plain sight, what else might be out there waiting, silent, unseen? Let's step deeper into the shadows. If Planet 9 exists, then it is not only a scientific puzzle, it is a mirror that reflects back our deepest fears, our oldest myths, and our unrelenting desire to find meaning in the stars. To understand why Planet 9 has such a grip on our imagination, we must look not only at the numbers and orbits, but also at the way humans, throughout history, have interpreted the unknown. Human beings have always filled the dark with watchers. When ancient people looked to the horizon, they imagined sentinels, gods, spirits, or ancestors who observed them from just beyond the visible. The night sky, filled with glittering points of light, became a natural home for those watchers. Every culture projected its anxieties and hopes onto the heavens. The Greeks filled the constellations with gods and monsters. The Egyptians saw guardians and judges in the stars. The Maya aligned their temples with celestial cycles, convinced the sky held messages about fate. So when we talk about Planet 9 today, we are not starting fresh. We are extending that same tradition. The difference is that our watcher now is cloaked not in myth, but in probability curves and computer simulations. Instead of shamans or priests, we have astronomers and astrophysicists. Instead of fireside stories, we have peer-reviewed papers. But the emotional pull is the same. The mystery feels alive, and so we treat it as though it were. And here lies something profound. Discovery and myth are not opposites, they are partners. Science strips away superstition, but at the same time, it creates new mystery. Neptune was once a god, and then a planet. Planet X was once a myth, and then Pluto, and then a disappointment, and now a story again. Planet 9, whether it exists or not, is the latest chapter in this long dialogue between fact and imagination. Now, let's picture it more vividly. Imagine you are drifting at the edge of the solar system, far beyond Neptune, beyond Pluto, beyond the frozen seas of the Kuiper Belt. Ahead lies an expanse so dark that even the stars seem fewer. The sun, now, is a faint glow behind you, no warmer than a faraway candle. And then, in that darkness, a shape begins to emerge, a faint disk against the star. It is Planet 9, an enormous silhouette carved out of the void. You cannot see its details, not yet, but you feel its presence. Something massive is here, silent and ancient. What makes it eerie is not just its distance or its coldness, it is its patience. Planet 9 does not rush. Its orbit takes thousands of years. It moves with a slowness that mocks our frantic pace. Civilizations rise and fall, while it drifts a fraction of its path. From its perspective, humanity is not even a flicker. We are like sparks from a fire, burning bright and vanishing before the logs are even warm. And yet, we feel as though it is watching us. Why? Because in its silence, we sense permanence. Planet 9, if it is real, has outlasted countless worlds, countless stories. It does not move for us, but we move beneath it. The watcher is not aware, but in our imagination, it becomes aware. Because we cannot accept that something so immense could be indifferent. This is the paradox of discovery. We search the stars for answers, but what we really seek is connection. We want to believe we are not alone, that the universe is not simply cold mechanics. Planet 9 tempts us with both cold mechanics in its gravitational pull, and a sense of presence in its mystery. It is both math and myth, both unseen planet and silent watcher. But there is another layer to this story, one that makes Planet 9 even more compelling. Some researchers have wondered if Planet 9 might not be a planet at all, but a primordial black hole, a relic from the earliest days of the universe. Smaller than a grapefruit, yet heavier than Earth. Imagine that for a moment. A black hole, drifting unseen in the outer solar system, bending the orbits of icy worlds with its invisible grip. That possibility changes everything. A planet, we can imagine a surface, a horizon, a cold landscape. A black hole we cannot. It is the ultimate watcher, without a face, without a form, a presence that consumes even light itself. Whether it is a frozen planet or a dark singularity, the effect is the same. It unsettles us. It reminds us that the universe is larger than our understanding, stranger than our categories. It asks us to sit with uncertainty, to let the silence speak. And so, as we drift further into this exploration, let us hold on to that image, a hidden presence at the edge of the system, silent, patient, and powerful. Perhaps it is just rock and ice. Perhaps it is something far stranger. But whatever it is, it forces us to ask, not just what is out there, but what we project into the dark. Because in the end, the question is something watching us. May not be about the planet at all. It may be about USA, about the way we cannot help but give the void a face, the way we turn silence into presence. The watcher, then, is not only in the sky, it is in our minds, staring back at us from the darkness we cannot explain. Let us imagine for a moment that we could stand on the surface of Planet 9 if it has a surface at all. The sunlight would be faint, no brighter than a twilight glow. Shadows would stretch endlessly, as if the planet itself were reluctant to reveal its form. The ground might be frozen rock and ice, sculpted by millennia of cold winds and bombardments from wayward comets. Above, the stars would be sharper, colder, more brilliant than we could ever see from Earth. The Milky Way would blaze across the sky like a river of light. And yet, something would feel different. Not just the silence, not just the cold, but a sense of weight, of being observed. Perhaps it is only in our imagination, but when humans picture Planet 9, we cannot help but fill the emptiness with presence. This is not unusual. Psychologists call it the agency detection bias, our tendency to assume that behind every noise, every movement, every unknown, there is a living agent. In the rustling grass, we imagine a predator. In the shadow, we imagine eyes. It is a survival instinct, rooted deep in our past. Better to imagine a watcher where there is none, than to miss the one that is there. So, when we look into the cosmic dark, our minds do the same. Planet 9 becomes not just a planet, but a watcher. Something out there, fixed in its orbit. Looking back, we know logically that a frozen world cannot care, cannot judge, cannot observe, and yet the feeling lingers. The watcher becomes real not because it sees us, but because we believe it does. This same instinct has guided myths across cultures. The Babylonians believed the stars recorded the actions of gods. The Norse spoke of giants and serpents lurking in the heavens. The Polynesians saw navigational spirits guiding their canoes across endless seas. For all of them, the sky was alive, responsive, filled with intent, and Planet 9 fits perfectly into this lineage. Even without evidence, it becomes a story. Even as astronomers weigh probabilities, the public fills the silence with meaning. But what if there is more to it than psychology? What if the feeling of being watched is not just projection, but intuition? Throughout history, humans have often sensed patterns before they understood them. Sailors felt the tides long before they knew the moon's gravity was at work. Farmers watched the skies, sensing seasonal rhythms long before astronomy explained them. Could it be that, in some strange way, our fascination with Planet 9 is not just imagination, but a deeper awareness, a whisper from the cosmos itself? Here is where things become strange. Some astrophysicists have noted that if Planet 9 exists, its gravity could have shaped the solar system in subtle, almost invisible ways. It might explain why certain comets enter the inner solar system on unusual paths. It might have nudged dwarf planets into tilted orbits. It might even have changed the tilt of the sun itself. That means, indirectly, that Planet 9 could have influenced Earth's own history, our seasons, our climate, perhaps even the conditions that allowed life to evolve as it did. So, in a sense, Planet 9 has already watched us, not with eyes, not with awareness, but with gravity. Its silent pull may have been shaping our destiny for billions of years, long before we had a word for planets, long before we had words at all. The watcher does not need to be conscious. Its presence is enough. Its influence is undeniable. Now picture this: somewhere out there, in the vast dark, Planet 9 is moving slowly along its orbit. Right now, as you hear these words, it is out there, circling, just as it has for billions of years. And while we debate its existence, while we scan the sky for traces of its shadow, it has already played its role. Whether or not we ever find it, Planet 9 has left fingerprints across the solar system, gravitational scars etched into orbits, invisible trails that whisper of its passage. And that leads to a haunting thought. How many other watchers are out there? How many unseen forces, unseen objects, shaping our fate without our knowledge? If Planet 9 can remain hidden in our own solar system, then the galaxy itself may be filled with shadows we cannot yet detect. Rogue planets drifting through interstellar night. Black holes smaller than mountains, pulling silently on the fabric of space. Entire worlds that rise and fall, never lit by the warmth of a sun. Each one, in its own way, is a watcher. Not because it observes, but because it reminds us of how little we see. The more we discover, the more we realize that most of the universe is still in darkness, unknown, unexplored, waiting. And this is where Planet 9 becomes more than a scientific question. It becomes a symbol of everything we do not yet understand, everything that lies beyond the reach of our telescopes. To search for it is to admit that the map is incomplete. To imagine it is to confront the truth that we are small, fragile, surrounded by forces we cannot control. But there is comfort too, because even as we fear the watcher, we are drawn to it. The same instinct that makes us feel observed also makes us curious. We want to look back. We want to name the darkness, to shine light into it, to understand what lies beyond. And in that sense, Planet 9 is not just a cold rock or a dark singularity. It is a mirror of our own longing for knowledge, for meaning, for connection in a universe that feels so empty. So as we continue, let us imagine that Planet 9 is listening, not with ears, not with awareness, but with gravity. It has always been listening. It has always been part of our story. And whether we ever see its surface or not, it has already shaped the world we call home. As we linger on this idea of a silent watcher at the edge of our solar system, the night sky begins to take on a different character. It is no longer just a canvas of stars, scattered like diamonds across velvet. It is layered, textured, alive with unseen presences. Some we can identify: planets, moons, asteroids. Others, like Planet 9, remain only in shadow, their influence hinted at but never confirmed. And this duality between the known and the unknown creates a kind of tension that pulls at our imagination. Scientists, of course, frame Planet 9 as a problem to be solved. Equations to refine, orbits to model, data to analyze. But for the rest of us, it lives more as a feeling, that tingling awareness that something is out there, that perhaps we are not alone in the sense of cosmic isolation, but rather always surrounded, always enfolded by mysteries we have yet to name. When you lie beneath the stars, gazing up at the glittering dome, it is easy to forget just how vast the solar system truly is. The planets we know: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune occupy only a small central neighborhood. Beyond Neptune lies the Kuiper Belt, a scattered disk of icy bodies, each orbiting the sun in its own rhythm. And even beyond that stretches the Oort cloud, a vast spherical shell of comets surrounding the solar system like a ghostly halo. If Planet 9 exists, it would dwell in this outer kingdom, moving slowly, perhaps taking tens of thousands of years to complete a single orbit, and this slowness adds to its mystique. Imagine a world so patient, so deliberate, that a human civilization could rise and fall in the time it takes for it to complete a fraction of its journey. Empires could be built, languages could flourish and vanish. Entire species could come and go, while Planet 9 drifts silently on, unchanged. Watching, it is a different kind of time. Not the quick pulse of human history, but the deep heartbeat of the cosmos. This sense of time creates another layer of mystery. If Planet 9 is truly there, it has been circling us all along. Before humans, before mammals, before even the first fish ventured onto land, Planet 9 was already moving. Always there, just beyond sight. That makes us wonder if it has been there for billions of years, shaping orbits, bending trajectories, perhaps even influencing the conditions of Earth. Then in some way, it has always been part of our story. Not as an intruder, not as an enemy, but as a hidden companion. Companion, though, may not be the right word. Companion implies intimacy, awareness. Planet 9 is more like a shadow in the corner of a room, always present but rarely noticed. And yet the moment you sense it, the moment you turn toward it, the shadow seems to deepen, to take shape. You wonder, how long has it been there? Has it been waiting? Has it been watching? Now logically, we know that a planet cannot wait, cannot watch. It is matter, rock, and ice, bound by gravity, indifferent to us. But imagination works differently. In the dark, logic often fades, and feeling takes its place. Just as a child, alone in a dark room, feels that the closet must contain eyes, so too do we, as a species, feel that the cosmic closet must be filled with watchers. It is not childishness, it is humanity, a natural instinct to make sense of the unknown by filling it with presence. And when we call Planet 9 a watcher, we are really projecting our own unease. We are reflecting the fear that perhaps we are the ones being studied, that perhaps the universe is not a blank stage, but a mirror, with something unseen peering back. This fear is not limited to Planet 9. It surfaces in stories of UFOs, in myths of hidden gods, in whispers of cosmic intelligence. Planet 9 simply gives it a form, something concrete enough to talk about, yet distant enough to remain cloaked in mystery. Interestingly, even within the scientific community, some of these darker speculations persist. While most astronomers see Planet 9 as a natural body, a minority have suggested more exotic possibilities. Could it be a primordial black hole, left over from the earliest days of the universe, no larger than a grapefruit, yet heavier than the Earth? Could it be a captured planet, stolen from another star system in the Sun's youth? Each theory adds a layer of intrigue, each one hinting that if Planet 9 exists, it may be stranger than we can imagine. But perhaps the deepest mystery is not what Planet 9 is, but what it does to us, how it changes the way we see the cosmos. Before the idea of Planet 9, we thought of our solar system as complete, mapped, familiar. Neptune was discovered in 1846, Pluto in 1930. For decades, we believed we had identified all the major players. And then came the realization that we may have missed something vast, something powerful, something still unseen. That shock alone reshaped our confidence. It reminded us that even in our cosmic backyard, we are still beginners, still searching, still vulnerable to surprise. This humility is healthy. To know that we are not finished, to know that the map is not closed. Planet 9, whether it exists or not, has already given us that gift. It has reminded us that darkness remains, that there are still corners of our own neighborhood waiting to be explored. And in a way, it has reawakened the ancient feeling, the same awe our ancestors felt when they first looked at the sky, believing it was alive with watchers. So as you drift deeper into this night, let yourself hold both truths. On the one hand, Planet 9 may be nothing more than rock and ice, indifferent, cold, distant. On the other, it is a symbol, a presence, a watcher shaped by our imagination. And perhaps both are true at once. Perhaps the universe is not just about facts and equations, but about the meanings we bring to it. In the stillness of the night, the watcher is real not because it sees us, but because we see it. The night sky has always been a place where wonder and unease coexist. From the earliest myths to the most advanced telescopes, humanity has looked upward and asked the same question: who or what is out there? And now, in the quiet corridors of modern astronomy, that question finds a new focus. Not in distant galaxies or exotic exoplanets, but right here, on the edge of our solar system, in the shadows where Planet 9 may dwell. Think of the irony. For centuries, people imagined gods, spirits, and watchers inhabiting the heavens. Then science stripped away those myths, showing us worlds of rock, gas, and ice. But with the possibility of Planet 9, the old sense of unease has returned. It is as if the cosmos itself has conspired to remind us, you do not yet know your own neighborhood. Imagine standing at the edge of a forest at night. You can see the first row of trees, lit faintly by moonlight, but beyond that, only darkness. You sense something is there, but you cannot name it. That is the position we are in with Planet 9. We see its influence long, stretched-out orbits of icy bodies that refuse to behave as they should, but the body itself hides beyond reach. And in that hiding, in that silence, lies its power. For astronomers, the task is technical. Mapping orbits, running simulations, refining predictions. But for the rest of us, Planet 9 is not a calculation. It is a story. A narrative we cannot help but shape in human terms. And like any good story, it offers both fear and fascination. Fear, because the unknown always carries danger. Fascination, because the unknown also promises discovery. Now consider this. If Planet 9 truly exists, it may be several times the mass of Earth, orbiting so far away that sunlight there is weaker than the faint glow of twilight on our planet. A world bathed in darkness, frozen, silent. Yet that silence is not emptiness. It is potential. In every myth, in every bedtime story, the figure hidden in shadow is always the one that matters most. What makes this possibility even more haunting is how long Planet 9 has been invisible to us. If it exists, it has circled the sun for billions of years. Unseen, unacknowledged. Civilizations have risen and fallen, languages spoken and forgotten, empires built and broken all, while this hidden world moved patiently through the dark, unnoticed. To think that such a presence could have been with us all along gives us chills. Because if we missed this, what else might be out there, still waiting to be seen? And this is where the darker part of our imagination begins to stir. Planet 9 is not just a planet candidate, it is a mirror for our deepest questions. We ask, is it natural, or could it be something more? Could it be a remnant of another star system, captured in the sun's youth, carrying with it secrets from a place we will never reach? Could it even be something artificial, something placed there intentionally, not by nature, but by intelligence? These questions are speculative, even wild. Yet they thrive in the shadows where certainty is absent. When scientists say, we don't know, the human imagination rushes in to fill the gap. That is what makes Planet 9 so unsettling. It is both scientific and mythic at once. It belongs to telescopes and to bedtime stories equally. But why does this unsettle us so deeply? Perhaps it is because Planet 9 forces us to confront the possibility that we are not in control of our own environment. We like to believe we know our solar system, that our maps are complete, our models sound. Planet 9 says otherwise. It suggests that even in our cosmic backyard, surprises wait. That the darkness still holds secrets we have not earned the right to uncover. There is also something about the way Planet 9 moves, or rather, the way we imagine it moves, that makes it feel alive. Its orbit may take tens of thousands of years to complete. That means when humanity was first striking fire from stone, Planet 9 was already out there, tracing the same path. When mammoths roamed the frozen plains, it was there. When Rome rose, when Rome fell, it was still there. And when our cities crumble one day into dust, if Planet 9 is real, it will still be circling, still watching, as though human time is nothing but a flicker in its endless night. This contrasts the brevity of our existence against the vast patience of the cosmos is humbling. But it also feeds that eerie sense of presence. A watcher does not need to move quickly. A watcher waits. A watcher endures. And if Planet 9 has been there all along, unseen, shaping orbits in silence, it begins to resemble not just a planet, but a sentinel. Of course, logic tells us this is fantasy. A planet cannot choose, cannot decide, cannot watch. But our feelings are not bound by logic. In the quiet of night, as the mind drifts toward sleep, logic gives way to symbol, and symbol becomes truth. The shadow at the edge of the solar system is not just rock and ice, it is a mystery with eyes. Or at least, that is how it feels. And perhaps that is why Planet 9 captures our imagination so powerfully. It straddles the line between fact and myth, between science and story. It is real enough to warrant serious study, but unknown enough to remain a canvas for fear and wonder. In this way, Planet 9 reminds us of something essential. The universe is not just a place of knowledge, but of mystery. It is not only what we have measured, but what we still sense, just beyond reach. So as you rest here, listening to this story unfold, imagine yourself standing at the edge of that forest of stars. The known planets behind you, bright and familiar. The unknown before you, dark and endless. Somewhere in that darkness, perhaps, moves a world you have never seen. Silent, patient, watching. The notion of being watched has haunted humanity since the beginning of civilization. From the earliest myths, we've imagined eyes-in-the-dark gods, spirits, guardians, or predators. The wilderness was alive with unseen presences, and the night sky was their grandest stage. To think of Planet 9 in this way is to tap into that primal current. It's not simply a question of whether something is out there, it's asked the eerie feeling that something vast, patient, and hidden is already looking in. Picture yourself standing beneath the stars on a cold night, far from city lights. The air is sharp and the silence feels alive. Above, the constellations burn like distant fires. You know that beyond them lies emptiness, yet the emptiness feels charged, almost aware. That sensation, that subtle prickle at the back of your neck, is what Planet 9 embodies. It is the embodiment of the cosmic gaze. Silent, invisible, but somehow undeniable. Astronomers try to strip away these feelings with data, with equations and orbital mechanics. And yet, the language they use still betrays the mystery. They speak of perturbations, of anomalous clustering, of bodies corralled by unseen mass. Even in technical terms, the imagery is alive. Something is shepherding those distant objects. Something is nudging them into alignment. Words like shepherd and nudge are metaphors, but metaphors with teeth. They suggest agency, even when none is intended. This is where the line between science and story begins to blur. Science gives us facts, but the human mind refuses to leave them bare. It dresses them in narrative, in personality, in whispers of intention. We cannot help it. It is how we make sense of the world. And so, even as astronomers carefully chart their models, the rest of us wonder, what if Planet 9 is not just a rock or a frozen sphere? What if it is something more? Here, imagination blooms. Some picture a world with moons of its own, each locked in eternal ice, orbiting in solemn silence. Others see a lonely giant, scarred and cold, but still commanding, like an emperor in exile. A few more daring dream of watchers in the literal sense beings, who might dwell there or who might have placed such a body in orbit long ago, as a marker, a sentinel, a silent outpost at the edge of the sun's dominion. Of course, these ideas reach far beyond what science allows, but they reveal something important. The human mind is restless. When faced with the mystery, it will not sit still. It will wander down corridors of possibility, lighting torches where reason offers no flame. Planet 9, by remaining hidden, becomes the perfect corridor. It invites speculation, it demands it, and so the watcher grows, not from evidence, but from imagination's hunger. But let's step back for a moment. Let's assume Planet 9 is only a planet, a super-Earth perhaps, 10 times the mass of our world, orbiting in the frozen shadows. Even this ordinary explanation holds its own awe, because if such a world exists, then our solar system is not the neat, finished model we once believed. It is still wild, still incomplete. The map is unfinished. And in the gaps of the map, mystery thrives. This realization has consequences for how we see ourselves. For centuries, humanity has tried to shrink the universe to fit our comfort. First, Earth was the center, then the sun, then perhaps the galaxy. But each step of science has humbled us further, showing us that we are smaller, less central, more fleeting than we hoped. Planet 9 is another humbling. It says, you have not even finished exploring your own backyard. Before you dream of conquering galaxies, know this: there may be giants still hiding just beyond your own fence. And yet, with humility comes wonder, because to find such a world would not diminish us, it would enlarge us. It would mean that the solar system is grander, richer, and more mysterious than we dared to think. Every child who looks up at the night sky would have another world to dream of. Every future traveler, real or imagined, would have another destination to whisper about. And maybe, in the distant future, explorers would walk its frozen ground, plant instruments in its soil, and feel the slow tug of its gravity beneath their boots. But here's where the Watcher theme returns, unshaken. Because no matter how much data we gather, no matter how many orbits we chart, the feeling of being observed is harder to erase. Even if we find Planet 9, even if we take pictures and send probes, the myth will linger. That's the strange alchemy of human storytelling. Facts inform us, but stories haunt us. And Planet 9 has already stepped into the role of the cosmic sentinel, the unseen eye in the dark. That role will endure, no matter what truth emerges. Perhaps this is the real gift of mysteries like Planet 9. They remind us that science and story are not enemies, but partners. Science gives us the skeleton. Story gives it flesh. Science measures gravity. Story asks who or what casts the weight. Science maps orbits. Story imagines eyes behind them. Together, they create something larger than either alone. A universe that is both knowable and unknowable, familiar and alien, rational and magical. As you let these thoughts wash over you, drifting deeper into the rhythm of your own breathing, remember this: the Watcher may not be a literal gaze, but a metaphor for the universe itself. The cosmos does not need eyes to watch us. Its vastness, its silence, its inexorable laws of motion. These are the gaze. They are the presence that enfolds us, whether we notice or not. And Planet 9, real or not, is one of the masks that presence wears. Close your eyes and imagine it now. A lonely giant circling in darkness, year after year, age after age. No wind, no warmth, no voice, only the endless arc of its orbit, like a heartbeat stretched across millennia. Imagine standing there, looking out at the faint glow of the sun, knowing that Earth is just a pale spark, lost in the void. Would you feel alone, or would you feel accompanied? That is the riddle of the watcher. That is the secret of Planet 9. And as you drift closer to sleep, let that secret settle in your mind like a distant star. Because whether it is a planet, a black hole, or only a dream, the watcher remains. And sometimes, the thought of being watched is less about fear, and more about belonging. To be seen, even by the cosmos itself, is to be part of something greater. Imagine, for a moment, that Planet 9 is no longer just a theory. The faint hints, the orbital anomalies, the subtle whispers of its gravity, all of them are confirmed. A telescope catches the dim light reflecting off its frozen surface. The data comes back, and the world sees it, a real planet, 10 times the size of Earth, circling in the distant shadows of our solar system. The announcement would change everything. News outlets would erupt with headlines. Scientists would scramble to publish their findings. Artists would render imaginative landscapes of this dark and frozen giant. Children would add a new planet to their classroom posters. Overnight, our picture of the solar system would expand, and the frontier of the unknown would move outward. But with discovery comes new questions. What is Planet 9 made of? Is it rocky like Earth, or icy like Neptune's distant moons? Does it have an atmosphere? Could it hold oceans beneath its frozen crust? And most haunting of all, what if we are not the first to notice it? The thought is unsettling. For billions of years, Planet 9 has circled the sun in darkness, far beyond the reach of our eyes. If it exists, it has been there longer than humanity itself, watching silently as civilizations rose and fell. Could ancient beings, perhaps long gone, have once known of it? Could they have visited it, marked it, or even placed it deliberately? It is here that speculation deepens, and the myths of watchers take root again. Some imagine that Planet 9 is not merely a planet, but an ancient sentinel world positioned in its orbit like a lighthouse on the edge of cosmic waters. If so, who lit that beacon? Was it nature alone, sculpting the cosmos with blind precision? Or was it something Moran intelligence so vast that we can barely comprehend its scale? The beauty of Planet 9 lies in its ambiguity. It is both scientific and mythical, both fact and story. To the astronomer, it is an equation to solve. To the dreamer, it is an eye in the dark. And perhaps, in truth, it is both. Because every discovery in science carries within it a seed of imagination, a spark that grows into something larger than the data itself. Think of Pluto, once called the 9th planet. When it was discovered, it became more than an icy rock. It became a character in our cosmic story, the lonely outpost at the edge of the sun's reach. When it was reclassified as a dwarf planet, the debate was not merely scientific, it was emotional. People felt something had been taken from them. That is the power of story. Planet 9, with its far greater size and mystery, would carry even more weight. Now imagine the moment of first images. A faint sphere, mottled and dark, caught against the black canvas of space. At first, it would look unremarkable, just a shadow among shadows. But slowly, details would emerge. A swirl of clouds, a glimmer of ice, cracks across its crust like scars. Perhaps even a faint glow, the kind produced by internal heat, hinting at forces beneath its surface. Scientists would argue. Some would say it's merely another frozen world, remarkable only for its size. Others would whisper about anomalies, about things that don't quite fit the models. Perhaps its orbit is too precise, its tilt too strange, its features too unusual. In those anomalies, myths would find fertile ground. But here's the deeper question. Why does Planet 9 matter so much to us? Why does this hypothetical world stir such emotion, such fascination, such fear? The answer lies not only in science, but in psychology. We are drawn to edges. Two boundaries. Two places just beyond our reach. The horizon has always been our lure, whether it's the ocean's rim, the edge of the map, or the darkness beyond the stars. Planet 9 is the latest horizon. It represents everything we have not yet seen, everything that still eludes our grasp, and in that elusiveness it becomes more than a world, it becomes a symbol. Symbols are powerful. They shape how we think, how we dream, how we tell stories. And Planet 9, whether real or imagined, has already become a symbol of the unknown, the things that might be watching from the dark. In this way, its greatest power may not lie in its physical presence, but in its role as a mirror for our imagination. As you let this thought settle, picture again that frozen giant circling far beyond Neptune. Its orbit is slow, glacial, almost eternal. A single year there lasts thousands of Earth years. Entire civilizations could rise and fall in the time it takes Planet 9 to complete just one trip around the sun. To us, it is motionless. To it, we are fleeting sparks. And yet, there is a strange intimacy in this relationship, for while it circles unseen, its gravity still reaches us. It tugs at distant comets, nudges icy worlds, shapes the architecture of our solar system. Even in its invisibility, it leaves fingerprints. It is the silent hand at the edge of our map. That, perhaps, is why the Watcher myth feels so fitting, because in a sense, Planet 9 is already watching not with eyes, but with influence. It does not need to see us to touch us. Its presence, if real, is already woven into the cosmic dance that holds us all. And so, as you drift deeper into this thought, imagine the universe not as empty, but as alive with presences both seen and unseen. Imagine that every orbit, every anomaly, every hidden mass is a kind of gaze, subtle, patient, unblinking. Planet 9 is simply one mask of that gaze, one reminder that the cosmos is larger, stranger, and more mysterious than we know. Let your breathing slow as you hold this vision. Feel the weight of the night sky above you, vast and infinite. Know that beyond the stars you can see, there may be watchers you cannot. And whether those watchers are planets, forces, or something far more, they remind us that we are never alone in the dark. If Planet 9 is real, its orbit places it so far from us that sunlight there would be little more than a ghostly glow. Imagine standing on its surface, if such a thing were possible. The sun would look like a bright star in the distance, not the warm life-giving orb we see in our sky. Days would be dim and eternal twilight would stretch across its icy plains. The air, if there is any, would likely be thin and toxic. Winds could sweep across frozen deserts, carving ridges into ice and stone. Volcanic activity might simmer beneath the crust, creating pockets of heat in an otherwise frozen wasteland. It would be silent there, so silent that the only sound would be the crunch of your footsteps, the faint howl of wind, or perhaps the distant cracking of ice as the planet shifts and groans under its own colossal weight. But silence has a way of amplifying imagination. Standing there, with the stars stretched across the heavens and earth invisible somewhere far behind you, you might feel that uncanny sensation of being observed. Not by creatures, not by eyes, but by the weight of the cosmos itself, by the timelessness of a world that has circled in shadows long before you, and will continue long after you. And yet, our human minds crave story. We don't stop at silence and stillness. We ask, what if? What if something did evolve there? What if the warmth beneath its crust gave rise to life forms adapted to darkness and ice? What if, deep beneath frozen oceans, strange beings stirred? They might never see the sun. Their world would be one of eternal night, where bioluminescence could be the only form of light. A society not based on vision, but on sound, vibration, or chemical signals. The possibility is remote, but not impossible. Life, after all, is resilient. On Earth, it thrives in boiling vents at the bottom of the ocean, in frozen tundras, in acidic pools. If it can survive here, perhaps it can survive there. Perhaps Planet 9 is not empty, but inhabited, though not in ways we would recognize. And if not life, then perhaps memory. Rocks can hold stories, even if we don't yet understand the language. A strange pattern in its surface could be mistaken for erosion, or it could be the faint trace of something artificial, a relic left by hands or minds long gone. What if Planet 9 is not only a natural object, but also a monument? An ancient marker left behind in the depths of space, waiting for us to finally find it. Consider this. Throughout human history, we've built monuments that outlast us. Pyramids, stone circles, carved mountainsides, all designed to echo across time. If another civilization existed before us, one capable of reaching the edges of our solar system, where would they place their monument? Not in the crowded inner planets, where erosion, tectonics, or human hands could erase it. Not on Earth, where time consumes everything, but far out, in the frozen reaches, where little changes. Planet 9 would be perfect. The unsettling thought is that maybe it wasn't meant for us at all. Maybe it's not a message, but a station. Maybe it is. In a sense, a watchtower, one that has been circling for eons. Recording, observing, waiting. If so, then perhaps we are the ones being noticed, not the other way around. That thought lingers, heavy and quiet. As you breathe slowly, picture the long arc of its orbit. It takes thousands of years to make a single journey around the sun. In that time, entire human eras past empires rise, collapse, and vanish into dust. To Planet 9, our history is a blink, and yet, perhaps it has seen it all, tracing its patient circle, unmoved by our haste. There's a paradox here, one that blends science with philosophy. On one hand, Planet 9 is distant, frozen, lifeless. On the other, it is deeply present, woven into the architecture of the solar system. It tugs at comets, it pulls at orbits, it whispers through mathematics. Even unseen, it shapes us. Isn't that, in a sense, what a watcher does? It doesn't interfere, doesn't announce itself, it simply observes. And its very presence changes the behavior of those it watches. Astronomers would debate endlessly. Some would say, it's just gravity, nothing more. Others might smile quietly and admit that mystery has always been part of science. After all, the line between physics and wonder is thin. To name a force is not to remove its magic. As you let these thoughts move gently through your mind, imagine lying under the night sky. You can't see Planet 9, not even with the best telescopes from your backyard. But it could be there, just beyond the visible, circling patiently. The comfort and the strangeness is in knowing that unseen things still hold sway over us. And here is the secret. That feeling of being watched, doesn't need eyes to be real. It can come from the stars themselves, from the orbit of a hidden planet, from the pull of gravity that touches us even now. We are never truly alone, because the universe itself is always pressing against us, reminding us of its presence. Breathe deeply. Feel the weight of that presence, the hush of the cosmos, the sense that there is more to the night than silence. Planet 9 is part of that silence, deep, mysterious, patient, and perhaps, in its silence, it is already speaking. Picture yourself drifting now, deeper into the idea of this hidden planet. You don't need to rush. Its orbit is patient, and so are we. Let your thoughts stretch slowly, like the arc of its path around the sun. Imagine its surface again. Vast plains of ice glint faintly under starlight. Shadows linger in endless craters, dark as ink. Perhaps mountains rise, jagged and lonely, untouched for billions of years. The stillness is so profound that even time itself feels different. They're slower, heavier, stretched out like frozen air. It is not a world meant for the restless. It is a world that invites stillness, reflection, silence. And in that silence, we hear ourselves more clearly. That is the strange gift of imagining such distant places. They are mirrors for our own thoughts, for our fears, for our wonder. When we think about Planet 9, we are really thinking about the boundaries of our own knowledge, the fragility of our understanding. It humbles us, the way standing beneath a night sky humbles us. It reminds us how small we are and how vast the unknown remains. Some might ask, why care? Why lose sleep over a planet we may never see with our eyes? But that question misses something essential. Curiosity is not practical, it is human. We are drawn to mysteries not because they serve us, but because they awaken us. Planet 9 is one such mystery. Whether real or not, it beckons us toward deeper questions. Questions about the universe, about our place in it, about whether something beyond us is watching from the dark. There is also comfort in these mysteries. To know that the universe is not exhausted, not fully explained, means that there will always be more to discover. It means that wonder is not gone. It means that we are not finished exploring. Even in the silence of sleep, we can wander there, tracing its orbit in our imagination, building stories from the shadows. Now, let yourself sink into that comfort. Imagine the gravity of Planet 9 pulling gently, like a thread. It does not demand attention, but it is always there, shaping the orbits of comets, stirring the icy bodies in the Kuiper Belt. That quiet pull is steady, ancient, unyielding, much like the pull of sleep itself. And so, Planet 9 becomes more than a planet. It becomes a metaphor for the unseen things that shape us every day. Forces we cannot see, but which still move us. Love, memory, fear, hope. They are like hidden planets in the solar system of our minds, exerting their pull, guiding our paths. The watcher we imagine in Planet 9 may not be real. There may be no eyes in the dark, but the feeling of being observed, of being part of something larger, is not false. It is part of our nature. It is the way we interpret the immensity of the cosmos pressing in around us. We turn gravity into gaze. We turn silence into presence. And in doing so, we weave a story that gives meaning to what is otherwise empty space. This is what makes Planet 9 so haunting. Not because it threatens us, not because it hides monsters in the dark, but because it reflects our own hunger for connection. We want to believe something is out there, watching, caring, acknowledging us. To admit that the universe is indifferent is hard. To imagine it as alive is easier. And so, in Planet 9, we find both the indifference of ice and the imagined intimacy of a silent observer. Let your body relax now as you sit with this paradox. Feel your muscles soften, your breath slow. You are like a traveler on the edge of that frozen world, gazing up at the distant sun. Time moves differently here. Worries fall away, like dust blown into the void. What remains is quiet, deep, and unbroken. Planet 9 may be real, or it may not. But in your mind tonight, it is real enough. It is there, circling in the darkness, holding its secrets. Perhaps one day we will see it. Perhaps one day we will know for certain. Until then, it waits, and in that waiting, it reminds us that mystery is never gone. So close your eyes and let the orbit of your thoughts carry you outward, past the bright planets we know, into the cold and beautiful dark. Out there, on the edge of everything, lies Planet 9, or perhaps just the dream of it. Both are enough. Both are worthy of wonder. Both are watching with the patience of eternity. And as you drift, remember, the universe is vast, mysterious, and full of unseen presences. You are part of it, woven into its silence, carried by its gravity. You are not alone in the dark. The search for Planet 9 has always been more than a scientific endeavor. It is, in many ways, a reflection of our deepest impulses to find patterns where there is chaos, to draw meaning from silence, to imagine eyes staring back at us from the shadows. As we step into this new chapter, let us slow down together, breathe deeply, and let your mind drift outward into the quiet, where the distant reaches of our solar system await. Picture the sun behind you, shrinking into a brilliant but small star. Around it, circle the familiar planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Each one a world with its own character, its own story. And beyond Neptune, the Kuiper Belt stretches like a ring of icy debris, fragments of creation frozen in place. It is here, in the murky distance, that astronomers have noticed strange patterns, tiny clues hinting at something larger. The orbits of certain distant objects tilt oddly, as if pulled by an unseen hand. They cluster in ways that shouldn't happen by chance. Their paths are elongated, stretched, as if nudged by a massive companion we cannot yet see. These anomalies are the breadcrumbs, scattered through the dark, and if you follow them far enough, they lead to a single possibility: Planet 9. Now imagine being an astronomer at the edge of discovery. The data is fragile, faint, incomplete. It suggests something but does not prove it. You run the calculations again and again, and still the patterns persist. You begin to believe there is something out there, something huge, something real. Yet until the telescope captures it, you must live in the in-between, a place where evidence whispers, but certainty refuses to speak. It is in this space that imagination thrives. Some see a planet 10 times the size of Earth, slowly circling the sun in an orbit so vast that it takes thousands of years to complete. Others imagine something stranger, a captured rogue planet, once drifting through the galaxy until our sun's gravity caught it, or perhaps an ancient survivor from the early days of the solar system, flung outward by gravitational chaos, condemned to orbit forever in solitude. And then, there are those who wonder if it is more than natural. Could Planet 9 be a construct, a deliberate placement, a silent sentinel positioned in the dark by hands unknown? These thoughts are not science, but they bloom easily in the imagination, especially late at night, especially when the silence feels heavy and alive. The truth is, our history is full of watchers. In every age, humans have told stories of being observed, from the gods who looked down from the heavens, to spirits who lingered in forests, to stars believed to be eyes of celestial beings. The watcher is one of our oldest archetypes, a reminder of our vulnerability, our smallness, our hope that we are not alone. Planet 9, if it exists, becomes the modern incarnation of that watcher. It is a scientific hypothesis cloaked in myth. But why do we feel this so deeply? Why does the thought of an unseen planet, far beyond our reach, stir such emotions? Perhaps because it forces us to confront the scale of the universe. It is one thing to study stars and distant galaxies. They are far away, untouchable, abstract, but a hidden giant within our own solar system feels closer, more intimate. It is a reminder that we do not fully know even our own home, that there may be presences in our backyard we have not yet met. This intimacy is unsettling. To imagine a massive world orbiting silently, unseen, for all of human history, it feels like a secret kept from us, as if the cosmos has been watching while we stumbled through time, blind to its gaze. And if we ask, is something watching us? The answer, perhaps, is not no. For even if Planet 9 has no eyes, its gravity has always touched us. Its presence, if real, has always been there, shaping comets, guiding orbits, writing quiet patterns in the architecture of our solar system. Let that sink in. We are not separate from this hidden planet. We are already connected to it, pulled by the same gravity, part of the same dance. Even unseen, it shapes us. Even invisible, it matters. Close your eyes for a moment and breathe. Picture its orbiton ellipse, so vast it stretches beyond comprehension. It moves slowly, silently, circling in darkness. While on Earth, centuries pass, empires rise and fall, languages are born and forgotten. To Planet 9, we are brief flickers, yet to us, it feels eternal. That contrast humbles us. It soothes us, too, for in the scale of the cosmos, our worries shrink, our anxieties soften, our time becomes a fleeting moment in an endless night. Now imagine what will happen if one day a telescope finally captures it. The image will likely be faint, blurry, unimpressive to the untrained eye, but the announcement will ripple across the world. New planet discovered. Children will add a 9th planet to their diagrams. Debates will erupt about its name, its nature, its story, and slowly, the myth of Planet 9 will merge with reality. But even then, mystery will remain, because every answer births new questions. How did it form? What is it made of? What secrets lie on its surface? Could it harbor moons of its own, tiny frozen worlds circling in its shadow? Could those moons, in some hidden pocket of warmth, shelter the spark of life? As your mind drifts through these questions, let yourself feel the weight of mystery, not as a burden, but as a blanket. A soft, infinite blanket that wraps around you, reminding you that there is always more than we can see, always more than we can know. Planet 9 is not only a puzzle for astronomers, it is a lullaby for the curious soul, a reminder that wonder is alive, waiting in the dark. As we move deeper into this thought, let us drift further into the black canvas of space, where distances stretch into millions and billions of miles, and time loses the meaning it has on Earth. Out here, Planet 9, if it exists, becomes less a world and more a presence, a whisper in the void. The mind begins to wonder, if we could stand upon one of its moons, if such moons exist, what would we see? Imagine a frozen landscape, coated in ice crystals that glimmer faintly under the dim glow of the distant sun. The sun would be no larger than a brilliant star in the sky, faint and cold, casting only the palest of light. The darkness would be overwhelming, the silence absolute. Yet in that silence, your heart might race, because you would know that you are not standing on emptiness. Beneath your feet would be a giant world, orbiting in shadows, carrying secrets as old as the solar system itself. To walk there would be to touch something hidden from all of human history, something that has always been here, but never acknowledged. And isn't that, in a way, the story of humanity? To slowly discover what was always there, to uncover truths hidden in plain sight, waiting for our eyes to adjust, our tools to sharpen, our curiosity to guide us. Planet 9 is more than a missing planet. It is a metaphor for discovery itself. Astronomers often describe the search for Planet 9 as looking for a needle in a cosmic haystack. The region it may occupy is enormous, and the planet would be faint, so faint that even our most powerful telescopes might only capture a tiny flicker of its light. The odds are stacked against us, and yet, the search continues. Why? Because curiosity is relentless. Because once the possibility is imagined, it cannot be ignored. And as we imagine, we begin to weave stories around it. Some whisper of Planet 9 being not just a planet, but perhaps a failed star, a brown dwarf captured long ago. Such an object would glow faintly with internal heat, radiating an infrared light like a dying ember. If that were true, it would mean our solar system was once touched by forces beyond, pulling in a wanderer from interstellar space. Others let their imagination stretch further. What if Planet 9 was no accident? What if its orbit was shaped, not by random chance, but by design? What if someone or something placed it there? These are not scientific questions, but they linger all the same, because they speak to our need to imagine watchers in the dark. The idea of being watched is one of humanity's most ancient fears and fascinations. Even now, as you listen, perhaps lying in bed, you might feel the instinct to glance toward the corner of your room, toward the shadows. It is not that you believe something is there. It is that we are wired to imagine what we cannot see. The unknown becomes alive in our minds. And so Planet 9, hidden and silent, becomes not just a planet, but a presence. Imagine it, circling slowly, so far away that one orbit might take 10,000 years. Civilizations could rise and fall while it completes a single lap, and through it all, it remains patient, waiting, watching. Now some scientists have proposed that if Planet 9 exists, it may help explain mysteries beyond its orbit. Perhaps it shepherds comets into the inner solar system. Perhaps it influences the tilt of the sun itself, ever so slightly. Perhaps it even shapes the rhythm of impacts on Earth across geologic time. If so, then in a way, it has already touched us. Its presence would be woven into our history, our evolution, our very existence. Pause for a moment, let that thought sink in. You are connected, not only to Earth, but to a hidden giant drifting far away. Its gravity could be part of why you are here. You have always been in its shadow, even if you did not know it. The thought can be unsettling, but it can also be comforting. Because if we are part of such vast patterns, then nothing we do, nothing we fear, is truly isolated. We are part of a grand web, connected across time and space. Every orbit, every pull, every movement in the heavens resonates through the fabric of the cosmos. And so, as you lie back and listen, you may feel small, but you are also part of something unimaginably large. You are a note in the great symphony of the universe, a vibration in the infinite song. And Planet 9, if it exists, is another note deep low, hidden in the background, but essential to the harmony. Now imagine drifting closer to it. Picture a spacecraft gliding silently across the dark. Instruments hum faintly, recording data, transmitting signals back to Earth, across billions of miles. And then, at last, cameras turn toward the horizon. And there it is, a disk of faint light. At first, it is only a smudge, but slowly, details emerge. Bands of clouds, perhaps, maybe rings of dust, maybe even the faint shimmer of auroras dancing at its poles. The first images of Planet 9 would be humbling. Humanity would realize that we are not only citizens of Earth, not only explorers of Mars or Saturn, but also neighbors of a world we never knew we had. Our map of home would expand once more. But with each discovery comes the reminder. What else lies hidden? If we missed this, what more might we have overlooked? Could there be other worlds beyond? Could there be visitors passing silently, unnoticed? Could there be eyes watching, not from Earth, but from the outer dark? The thought loops back again and again. Is something watching us? Perhaps not in the literal sense, perhaps not in the way of science fiction, but in another sense, yes. The cosmos is always watching. The planets, the stars, the galaxies, they have been here long before us, and they will remain long after. Their presence is a kind of gaze, indifferent but eternal. And Planet 9, if it exists, has always been watching in its own way. Not with sight, not with intention, but with gravity, with its silent pull, with its patient orbit, with the quiet shaping of worlds. Breathe that in. Let the thought settle in your mind. A hidden planet, circling unseen, yet touching everything. It is not a monster. It is not a threat. It is simply part of the universe, waiting to be known. And in knowing it, we know ourselves a little better. As we follow this line of thought, let us imagine the future, the moment when the mystery is finally solved. Picture a team of astronomers gathered in a quiet observatory control room. The lights are dim, the computers glowing softly. A hush falls as new data streams across the screens. There it is, a faint point of light, moving against the background stars in a way no stars should. Night after night, its position shifts. At first, only a handful of people on Earth know what they are seeing. But soon, the truth spreads. Humanity has a new world. The discovery would echo across the globe. Headlines would blaze. Scientists would rejoice. Artists would create. Children would look up at the sky with new eyes, wondering where this secret neighbor had been hiding all this time. And quietly, in countless bedrooms, people would whisper to themselves, if we missed something so big, what else might be waiting in the dark? But let us not rush too far. For now, the planet remains a mystery. And in that mystery lies beauty. For sometimes, it is not the answers, but the questions that matter most. Planet 9 gives us the gift of wonder, whether it is real or imagined. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine drifting outward yourself, your body light as stardust, carried on invisible currents of thought, past the orbit of Saturn, past the icy rings of Uranus, past Neptune's deep blue storms. The sun grows smaller behind you, shrinking to a pale lantern in a sea of night. You keep going, further still, until the stars ahead glow brighter than the sun behind. And then, there on the edge of visions, something looms, dark, silent, massive, a world hidden from time. The air is thin here, though there is no air at all, only the chill of space pressing like a weight. And yet, you feel no fear, only calm. Because here, at the edge of everything, the universe is honest. There is no noise, no distraction, only truth. A planet waits, turning slowly, watching in its own way. Perhaps it has been watching Earth all along, in its distant orbit, watching as life emerged, as oceans filled with creatures, as forests grew, as humans built cities of stone and light. To such a planet, our history is but a blink. And yet, that blink is part of its story, too. We orbit the same sun, we share the same sky. We are family, though distant, though silent. And isn't that a comforting thought? That even in the vastness of space, we are never truly alone. That there are worlds out there, unseen but real, bound to us by gravity, by the ancient pull of the cosmos. They do not need to speak or to see. Their existence is enough. Now, breathe slowly. Let your thoughts align with the rhythm of orbits, with the cycles of the heavens. Everything moves in harmony. Nothing is wasted. Even the mysteries have their place. Even the unanswered questions are part of the balance. Scientists will keep searching, of course. Telescopes will sweep the sky. Algorithms will trace the faintest of movements. Spacecraft may one day venture into the deep. But for tonight, we do not need answers. We only need the comfort of the question. The quiet thrill of knowing that something might be there, circling unseen, carrying secrets in the dark. As your body sinks deeper into rest, imagine yourself drifting alongside it. The stars wheel slowly above. The sun is only a spark in the distance. Planet 9 turns, ancient and cold, yet strangely alive in your imagination. Its silence matches the silence of your room, the silence of your breath as it slows, steadies, deepens. And so, the mystery becomes a lullaby, a story to guide you not into fear, but into peace. For what greater comfort is there than to know the universe is bigger than our worries, bigger than our days, bigger than even our lives? Planet 9, real or not, reminds us of that immensity. It whispers of hidden things, waiting patiently to be known. Let yourself rest in that immensity. Let yourself drift in its orbit. You are part of it already, carried by the same sun, bound by the same gravity, sheltered under the same night sky. Whether Planet 9 watches or not, you are never alone in the universe. You are surrounded by stars, by worlds, by mysteries that cradle you in their vast embrace. And with that thought, let go. Surrender to the pull of sleep, as steady and certain as the orbit of a hidden planet. The darkness is not empty. It is full of wonder, and it is waiting for you. Close your eyes, take a slow breath, and let yourself drift into the calm of this moment. Tonight, our journey continues farther still. past the limits of the known solar system, into the icy frontier where shadows are long and mysteries grow deeper. There, beyond Neptune's cold orbit, lies a space where sunlight barely whispers, and somewhere in that silence, perhaps, Planet 9 is waiting. It is strange, isn't it, how something so vast could remain unseen? A world larger than Earth, heavy enough to tug at the orbits of distant asteroids, yet hiding from our telescopes. It's as though the universe itself has chosen to veil this secret, letting us feel only hints, only traces of its presence. Like hearing footsteps in another room, but never seeing the figure that walks. Imagine the Kuiper Belt, that wide, frozen halo of icy bodies circling far beyond Neptune. Small objects drift endlessly, each one locked into paths shaped not just by the sun, but by something unseen. Astronomers noticed the patterns clusters of orbits tilted, pulled, aligned in ways that shouldn't happen by chance. Something out there, something massive, was whispering its presence through gravity's invisible hand. The possibility electrified the scientific world. If true, Planet 9 would not just be another rock among countless others, it would be a true giant, a planet of significance, reshaping our picture of the solar system. And yet, every attempt to see it directly has failed. The telescopes sweep the skies. The cameras capture endless stars. But Planet 9, if it exists, stays hidden. Why does this matter? Because hidden worlds test the limits of our knowing. They remind us that even after centuries of discovery, our picture of reality is still incomplete. The solar system is our home, and yet corners of it remain in shadow, like unexplored rooms in a house we thought we knew. Planet 9 could be one of those rooms, silent, dark, and waiting for the moment we finally open the door. And here is where imagination begins to rise. Because when science stops at the boundary of evidence, the human spirit ventures farther. We begin to wonder, what if Planet 9 is not simply a world of ice and rock? What if it holds something stranger, darker, more unsettling? Some say it could be a failed star, a brown dwarf that never lit. Others whisper it might even be a black hole. Small, but dense, warping space around it. But there is another layer of speculation, one more unsettling still. What if it is not simply a world to be studied, but a world with purpose? What if, in some way we do not yet understand, Planet 9 is aware, not alive in the way we are, but conscious in a deeper, more alien sense, watching, waiting? The question lingers like a shadow in the room. Is something watching us? Could Planet 9, hidden at the edges of our system, serve as a sentinel silent patient, observing humanity's rise under the sun? Perhaps it has always been there, a cosmic witness to our story, unnoticed until now. As you let these thoughts drift through you, notice how they move like waves, one fading into the next. This is not a story of fear, but of awe. For to imagine that we are seen, that our tiny blue world has been noticed across the void, is to feel both small and cherished. Like a candle burning in the dark, fragile yet luminous. Its flame visible, even across distance, unimaginable. Tonight, as you rest, you carry that flame too. The curiosity that drives us to search for hidden worlds. The wonder that makes us lift our eyes to the stars, that is your light. And whether Planet 9 is real or not, whether it watches or not, the very act of imagining it makes the universe a little less empty. So let us drift deeper into this thought, into the silence of the outer dark, and listen for what the cosmos may be whispering back. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of an ocean at night. The waves roll in softly, steady, and endless. You can hear them, but cannot see far across the dark water. You know there is more out there, ships, islands, horizons beyond the reach of your vision. The ocean is vast, and your senses capture only a fragment of it. That ocean is the cosmos. And we, standing here on Earth, are like the person listening at the shore. We sense something beyond, something large and hidden, but it remains out of sight. Planet 9 is like a shape moving just beyond the horizon line, its presence suggested by ripples and waves, by the movements of smaller bodies that respond to its unseen gravity. What makes this mystery so captivating is the silence that surrounds it. Space, at these distances, is unimaginably quiet. A planet drifting hundreds of times farther from the sun than Earth does would be cloaked in shadows. Light there is faint, like twilight stretched into eternity. If you were standing on Planet 9's surfacing, it even has a solid surface, the sun would not blaze overhead. It would be a star, bright, yes, but no brighter than the full moon from Earth. Shadows would be soft, colors muted. Time itself would feel slower, stretched by the cold. In that setting, imagine the feeling of being watched. Not in a sinister sense, but as though the universe itself is paying attention. Sometimes in life we feel a presence when we walk alone at night, a sense that the world around us is not indifferent but alive, observant. That sensation, half fear, half comfort, echoes in the thought of Planet 9, a hidden world, perhaps not alive in any way we understand, yet somehow part of the story of our existence. Scientists often speak of Planet 9 in numbers and models. They describe its possible mass 10 times Earth's, perhaps its orbit 20 times farther than Neptune, maybe more. its tilt, its path, its gravitational effects. But numbers, though precise, cannot capture the feeling. Numbers do not tell us what it is like to stand in the human mind and imagine a world hiding in the dark. A world that might have been there all along, silent and unseen. It is here that myth begins to intertwine with science. Across cultures, humans have long believed in hidden worlds. Lost continents like Atlantis. Invisible realms of gods and spirits. Planets that pass unseen, shaping fate. The story of Planet 9 feels like an echo of those older tales. Perhaps this is why it resonates so deeply. It is not just the search for a celestial body, it is the continuation of a much older pattern, a human yearning to uncover the concealed. And so the speculation grows. Could Planet 9 be something ancient, left behind from a time before the solar system took its present form? A wandering body captured by the sun's pull billions of years ago, now tethered to an orbit so vast it defies comprehension. Or could it be something stranger, a fragment of another star's system, drifting across the galaxy until fate placed it here, among us? Each possibility carries its own mood. If it is a captured planet, then it is like an adopted child of our sun, forever part of our family, yet forever different. If it is a rogue from another star, then it is a visitor, a reminder that the galaxy itself is a great ocean where worlds and stars mingle, collide, and trade places. And then, in the darker corners of imagination, lies another thought. What if Planet 9 was never simply a natural object? What if, in some distant past, intelligence placed it here, not as a planet in the ordinary sense, but as a marker, a sentinel, a monument? Something left to stand at the edge of the solar system, quietly observing. This idea may sound far-fetched, yet it is no stranger than some of the myths we have always told. The ancient Sumerians spoke of hidden planets that guided human destiny. Some modern thinkers revived the idea in the name of Nibiru, a world unseen, yet powerful. Perhaps Planet 9 is simply the scientific face of this old story, the latest mask of an idea that has haunted us for millennia. But whether myth or science, the effect on us is the same. It humbles us. It draws us into awe. It makes us feel the scale of what we do not know, and it invites us to rest in that mystery. So, as you lie here now, listening, let the thought of Planet 9 be like the sound of the waves on that cosmic shore. You cannot see the horizon. You cannot see the hidden world, but you can feel the possibility of its presence, and that possibility is enough. Enough to calm, enough to wonder, enough to remind you that life is more than the walls of a room, more than the hours of a day. It is part of something vast, something still unfolding, something filled with secrets that wait like stars to be discovered. Picture yourself traveling outward, riding on a silent spacecraft that drifts far beyond Neptune. There is no engine noise, no rush of errandly, the gentle hum of instruments and the infinite stillness of the void. The stars look sharper out here, like diamonds etched into glass. The Milky Way stretches in a luminous band, and the sun itself is no longer a blinding star but a faint beacon, warm yet distant. Ahead, your path crosses regions few human eyes have ever imagined. Clouds of icy rocks drift slowly, relics from the dawn of the solar system. Each one is a fossil, a frozen memory of the time when planets were forming. Yet even in their quiet motions, you can sense something guiding them, something tugging ever so slightly on their orbits. The invisible hand of Planet 9. Astronomers describe this as gravity, a force as old as time itself. But in the hush of your imagination, it feels almost like intention, as though this unseen world is shepherding the smaller bodies, guiding their paths as a shepherd guides sheep. Not by choice, perhaps, not by will, but by presence alone. A planet so massive does not need to act. Its very existence shapes the cosmos around it. And here is where a curious thought arises. If a planet can watch without eyes, can act without intention, does that not resemble the way the universe itself watches us? Silent, impartial, and yet inescapably present. The stars do not speak, yet we listen. The galaxies do not move for us, yet we are moved by them. Planet 9, in its hidden orbit, is like a microcosm of that truth unseen, unheard, and yet deeply felt. Consider how small our perspective truly is. For thousands of years, humanity did not know Neptune existed. Uranus itself was once invisible to us, hidden in plain sight among the stars until telescopes revealed it. Each discovery pushed the edge of our map farther outward, and each time we thought the map was complete. And yet, time and again, new worlds have surprised us. So why should it be different now? Why should we assume that we have finally seen everything? That our system holds no more secrets? Planet 9 may simply be the next reminder that the cosmos is larger than our certainties. That our story is not finished. This is where the idea of being watched shifts from eerie to comforting. Imagine that somewhere out there, in the silent dark, Planet 9 continues its patient orbit. It does not care who we are or what we do. And yet, by existing, it shares our story. It is part of our solar system, part of the family of worlds that circle our star. Its gravity touches us, subtly but surely, just as our gravity touches it. In a way, we are already connected, already in conversation, whether we know it or not. Think of how that mirrors life itself. We are all touched by forces unseen, by histories we never lived, by people we have never met, by choices made long before we were born. Like gravity, those forces shape us silently, invisibly, and yet undeniably. Planet 9 becomes not just an astronomical mystery, but a symbol of the hidden influences in every life. The unseen hands that guide, the silent presences that watch, the mysteries that shape us whether we notice or not. And so, as you rest tonight, you can allow yourself to feel that presence not as a source of fear but as a cradle of wonder. The cosmos is vast, but it is not indifferent. It is alive with patterns, with connections, with mysteries that reach across the dark. To imagine that something watches is to remember that we are never isolated. We belong to a web of existence larger than we can see. Let your breath fall into rhythm now, slow and even. Each inhale is like a planet's orbit, steady and returning. Each exhale drifts outward, like a comet released into the void. Your body rests, your mind floats, and around you the cosmos turns in silence. In that silence, you are safe. In that silence, you are part of everything. So when you think of Planet 9, imagine not a cold, distant rock, but a companion on the journey, a fellow traveler round the sun, unseen but present. Its story is bound to hours, and hours to it. Perhaps one day we will find it, photograph it, even send probes to study it. Or perhaps it will remain forever hidden, a secret known only through whispers of mathematics. Either way, it has already given us something priceless. The gift of wonder, the invitation to dream. And dreams, after all, are what carry us beyond ourselves. Now, imagine the vast silence of the solar system once more. The kind of silence so complete it feels alive, as if the void itself has a heartbeat that only the stars can hear. Out in that silence, Planet 9 continues its journey, slow and deliberate, completing an orbit that may take tens of thousands of years. While we live and die, while civilizations rise and fall, it keeps circling, unhurried, unchanged. To think about that is to step outside the small span of human time and glimpse eternity. Perhaps this is why Planet 9 captures our imagination so strongly. It reminds us that the universe has layers far beyond our daily concerns. We worry about minutes, hours, years, but the cosmos worries only about ages, eons, epochs. To Planet 9, our entire history is a flicker, a passing moment of light. And yet, here we are, aware of it, wondering about it, feeling its gravity tug on our thoughts as much as it tugs on comets. There's a poetry in that. A hidden world, unseen but real, shaping the very system we live in. It's like a secret guardian of the solar system, invisible but always present, silently sculpting the outer reaches of space. Scientists may describe it in the language of mass in orbit, but to the human heart, it becomes a character, a presence. Not just a rock, but a participant in the cosmic story. When you close your eyes now, you can almost picture it. A dark world, 5 or 10 times heavier than Earth, wrapped in shadows, lit only by the faintest glow of starlight. Its surface could be icy, mountains rising like frozen cathedrals, valleys carved in silence. Perhaps it has a thin atmosphere, stirred by winds that no ear will ever hear. Perhaps beneath that ice lies an ocean, hidden in secret, waiting in the cold. And maybe, just maybe, something else waits with it. Not life as we know it, perhaps, but the raw ingredients of life. Molecules drifting in frozen seas, potential wrapped in stillness. In that sense, Planet 9 might not just be watching, it could be holding possibilities. Seeds of stories that may never bloom, but are no less real for their silence. There's a kind of comfort in thinking this way. The universe is not just vast and empty, it is vast and filled with potential. Every hidden world is a reminder that we do not yet know the limits of existence, and every question we ask is proof that our imagination is alive. To wonder about Planet 9 is to wonder about ourselves, our curiosity, our hunger for discovery, our need to belong to something greater than what we see. So let your mind drift with that thought. Imagine your breath as an orbit, circling gently, steady, and calm. Each inhale pulls you inward, like gravity. Each exhale releases you outward, like a comet escaping into space. You are both bound and free, part of the pattern, and yet able to imagine beyond it. Think now of how small the Earth is, just one pale blue dot among billions. And yet, from that dot, we have seen galaxies, mapped stars, and dreamed of worlds we cannot yet touch. Planet 9 is a symbol of that endless dream. It calls to us not with light, but with absence, not with presence, but with mystery. Its very secrecy is what makes it beautiful, and maybe that is the ultimate lesson. That not everything needs to be found. Some things can remain hidden, serving as reminders that mystery itself is valuable, that the unknown keeps us humble, keeps us wondering, keeps us reaching. If we knew every answer, there would be no more adventure. But because Planet 9 remains a secret, the adventure continues. As you rest tonight, let yourself feel held by that mystery. You do not need every answer. You do not need to see every detail. Just as Planet 9 moves unseen, you too can trust that some things will reveal themselves in time, and others will remain as quiet companions in the dark. And that is enough. So breathe slowly. Let the image of that hidden planet fade into the background of your thoughts, a quiet presence orbiting in the distance. Let the stars around it shimmer softly, like lanterns guiding your dreams. You are safe, you are small, and yet you are part of something infinite. Planet 9 may or may not be real, but the wonder it gives us is real, the stillness it inspires is real, and the sleep it invites is real. And as you drift now, imagine yourself floating beyond the sun, into the dark, where silence itself becomes music, and mystery becomes comfort. Out there, you are not alone. You are watched not by eyes, but by the cosmos itself, holding you gently in its endless orbit. Rest, and let the stars keep their watch. Close your eyes for a moment, and picture the vast, empty expanse beyond Neptune. Out there, in the frozen twilight of our solar system, the sun is nothing more than a pale lantern. The planets we know, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, are far behind us, circling faintly like sparks in the distance. What lies ahead is a frontier of shadows, a wilderness few have dared to imagine. It is in this realm of silence and frost that Planet 9 may be hiding. For years, astronomers have hinted at its presence, tracing its fingerprints in the odd tilts of distant orbits and the strange alignments of icy bodies. The evidence whispers, but does not shout. It's like stumbling across footprints in a forest at night. You know something passed through, but the creature itself remains hidden. What makes Planet 9 so haunting is not just the mystery of its existence, but the questions it raises about intent. If it's truly there, why has it kept itself in the dark for so long? Why does it influence the solar system without showing its face? And why now, in our age, does its shadow begin to emerge from the mathematical mist? Some scientists see it as a natural wanderer, perhaps a rogue planet captured long ago by the sun's gravity, condemned to spend eternity on a slow, looping path through cosmic night. Others wonder if its story is stranger, that it is not merely a planet, but a kind of sentinel, something more than rock and ice. Could it be that this hidden world is part of a deeper pattern, one our species is only just beginning to sense? As you settle into your breath, drifting deeper into calm, let us allow ourselves to linger on the thought. What if Planet 9 is not silent at all, but watching, waiting, carrying secrets older than Earth itself? Imagine for a moment that Planet 9 is not just another frozen sphere of rock and ice, but something with a history, a story woven into the fabric of our solar system. Some astronomers suggest it might have been born elsewhere, perhaps in a neighboring star system billions of years ago. In that vision, it wandered for eons, drifting between suns, before finally being caught in the gravitational embrace of our own star. If so, Planet 9 would not be a child of the sun, but an adopted wanderer, an outsider living quietly at the edge of our celestial family. That idea alone carries an eerie weight, because if Planet 9 is foreign, then it has traveled further than any spacecraft humanity has ever built. It has seen more skies than Earth has known, carried the silence of interstellar space across unimaginable distances. In its icy layers could be written a history of cosmic dust, alien radiation, and collisions with matter from long-forgotten systems. To study it would be to touch the fingerprints of the wider galaxy, to place our hands on a relic of the cosmos itself. But there are darker interpretations. Some propose that if such a massive object truly lurks in the outer reaches, it might not be natural at all. Its orbit is peculiar, so long and so stretched that it almost feels deliberate, as though designed to skirt the edges of our awareness, nudging only what it needs to, without ever stepping into plain view. That thought raises unsettling possibilities. Could a world like this be more than a planet? Could it, somehow, be a construct, or at least part of a cosmic plan we have yet to understand? It's easy to dismiss such musings as science fiction, but even seasoned scientists admit the sheer strangeness of the evidence. Planet 9, if it exists, would be 10 times the mass of Earth, hidden in a place we thought was nearly empty. For decades we believed we had mapped the solar system's main players, but perhaps we were wrong. Perhaps one more presence has been here all along, content to remain in the shadows until we grew curious enough, bold enough to find it. And so, as you listen, breathe softly, and let the weight of these possibilities settle like a blanket. Whether Planet 9 is a wanderer, an alien relic, or something that defies explanation, its existence reminds us of a simple truth: the universe is vaster, stranger, and more mysterious than we often dare to imagine. As we drift deeper into this mystery, let's pause and think about what it means to be watched. Human beings have always projected their fears and hopes onto the night sky. We imagine gods and constellations, omens and comets, and destinies in the movements of planets. Planet 9 fits perfectly into this ancient tradition. If it is real, hidden beyond Neptune, its very concealment makes it feel purposeful, like an eye behind a curtain, observing quietly while remaining unseen. For some, this sense of being watched is comforting. They imagine Planet 9 as a guardian, a silent protector whose gravity shields Earth by deflecting deadly comets and asteroids away from the inner solar system. In that version of the story, it is less a threat and more a cosmic sentinel, performing its duty without our knowledge. For others, though, the feeling is more unsettling. If something so massive has remained unseen for so long, what else could be hiding in the darkness? What intentions, if any, lie behind its presence? Our technology, advanced as it seems, is still like holding a candle in a vast cathedral. Telescopes sweep the skies, computers model trajectories, but the truth is that most of the universe remains out of reach. Even within our own solar system, secrets linger in the shadows. And that is what makes Planet 9 so haunting. It forces us to acknowledge the limits of our perception. Consider this: if Planet 9 were placed into the night sky, it might be faintly visible to the naked eye, but its great distance makes it dimmer than the faintest star. It is not hiding in the sense of an intelligent act. It is simply too far away, too faint, too patient. And yet, in our imaginations, it takes on a role much larger than physics alone. It becomes a mirror for our fears of the unknown, and for our awe at the sheer scale of the cosmos. So, as you rest, let these thoughts wash over you like waves. Perhaps Planet 9 is just another rock, orbiting silently in the darkness. Or perhaps it is more than that, a mystery, a presence, a reminder that the universe is never quite finished, surprising us. Whether watcher, wanderer, or secret yet to be unveiled, Planet 9 whispers from the edge of everything we know. There is still more to the story, and we are only beginning to turn the first page. Let's take one last slow journey together, drifting outward beyond the familiar glow of our sun. Imagine the solar system as a grand stage. The rocky worlds spin close to the light. The gas giants hold their court in the middle, and beyond them lies a curtain of ice and shadow. Behind that curtain, almost out of sight, we've been searching for a presence, a world we've come to call Planet 9. We've followed the clues, whispered through the tilted orbits of distant objects. We've asked ourselves if it could be a captured wanderer, a guardian, or even a silent watcher. We've allowed imagination to fill the gaps where science is not yet strong enough to answer. Now, as we reach the end of our story, we face the truth. Planet 9 is still a mystery, but perhaps that is exactly why it captivates us. The unknown has always been the fuel of human wonder. Long before telescopes, our ancestors stared into the night sky and spun tales about the stars. They imagined hunters, animals, and gods written in constellations. Every gap in knowledge was an invitation to dream. Planet 9 is no different, whether it exists as a massive world orbiting in darkness, or whether it is simply a phantom born of mathematical models. It offers us the same gift, the freedom to imagine, to question, and to look up with awe. Think of how small we are in this cosmic stage. Earth itself is just a pale blue dot, suspended in the light of one star among billions. To us, every mystery feels monumental. To the universe, they are ripples in an ocean too vast to measure. And yet, it is in our nature to reach out into that ocean, to trace its waves, and to wonder what may lie beyond the horizon. Planet 9 reminds us of that desire. Its dark orbit, if it exists, takes thousands of years to complete. Civilizations could rise and fall before it finishes a single journey around the sun. To think of time on that scale is humbling, almost overwhelming, but it also connects us to the rhythm of the cosmos. We may not live long enough to see Planet 9 revealed with certainty, but we are part of the chain of curiosity that makes such discovery possible. Maybe one day, a new telescope will capture its faint light. Maybe a distant probe will be sent into the darkness, and centuries from now, it will transmit back the first close-up image of this elusive world. But for now, Planet 9 remains a riddle written in shadows, a chapter of our solar system still sealed. And that's the beauty of it. The universe doesn't rush to reveal its secrets. It waits, it whispers, and sometimes, it lets us wonder a little longer. So as we close our eyes and drift deeper into rest, let's carry Planet 9, not as a puzzle to be solved tonight, but as a lullaby of the cosmos. Whether it's a silent guardian, a wandering stranger, or nothing more than an echo of our imagination, it has already served its purpose. It has reminded us that we are not finished explorers. There are still dark corners waiting for our questions, still hidden truths to ignite our wonder. Breathe slowly, feel the calm of night, and let the thoughts settle gently. Maybe something is watching, maybe nothing at all. Either way, the mystery is not a threat, but an invitation to keep dreaming, to keep searching, to keep reaching beyond the horizon of what we know. And now, let go of the questions. Let them drift away, like planets in their endless orbits. You are safe here, cocooned and quiet, resting under the same sky that has carried secrets for billions of years. Let the darkness cradle you, let the stars sing softly, and let Planet 9 real or imagined become a story that guides you into peaceful sleep. Good night, traveler. The cosmos will keep its watch, and tomorrow, the mysteries will still be waiting.